Chapter 1652. Forget about it, we'll talk about it later. Su Yu really didn't dare to make any aggressive moves on Huamin. After all, she was still grieving the loss of Qin Chu. Plus, she was pregnant. She was weak, and he didn't want to take advantage of her. So, he really had to leave it to fate. If fate brought them together, he and Huamin might end up together. If fate didn't bring them together, even if Qin Chu really died and never came back, he might not have a chance at all. He knew Huamian's personality too well. During dinner, Zhu Lingling got up to go to the washroom. Seeing that it was time, Huamin immediately turned around and took out the brocade box from his bag. Then, he handed it to Gao Ran. "What's this?" Gao Ran froze. "Diamond ring," Huamin answered calmly. Gao Ran, everyone was dumbfounded. Huamin gave Gao Ran a diamond ring. What was going on? Wasn't the diamond ring a godly item that only two people used to confess their feelings? Jiang Shaowei was the only one who reacted quickly. She immediately said, "Mian, do you want Gao Ran to propose to Lingling?" "I already said that I like you. You know me slightly just by looking at us." Huamin intimately raised his arm and wrapped it around Jiang Shaowei's neck. "Propose, huh?" Gao Ran was dumbfounded. "Don't you want to?" "Of course I want to, but this is too sudden, I didn't prepare anything." "Didn't I prepare it for you?" Huamin pointed at the brocade box. Tang Chuan nosily leaned over and took a look. "Damn, this ring is at least 3 carats. More than 500,000 yuan. Dr. Hua is super rich." Tang Chuan gave him a thumbs up. "Wow, so expensive, how can I afford it?" Although Gao Ran came from a high-ranking family, he didn't have that much money. Therefore, he was a little surprised that the ring was worth more than 500,000 yuan all of a sudden. "This is a gift from me, you just need to propose to Lingling with it." Huamin looked at Gao Ran calmly. "TT that, there's no flower." Gao Ran was at a loss of what to do. "I have this." After Tang Chuan finished speaking, he picked up a small bouquet of red roses from the furnishings in the private room and stuffed it into Gao Ran's hand. "Brother, tell me, what else do you need?" "I have everything here." Tang Chuan asked with a smile. Gao Ran held the flowers in one hand and the ring in the other. He was indeed a little confused, it was too sudden, he had always wanted to marry Lingling and had proposed to her before. However, Lingling said that she wanted to wait until Huamin was pregnant. Although Huamin was pregnant, Qin Chu was in trouble, so he didn't dare to bring it up again. He didn't expect Huamin to bring it up today. Just as he was hesitating, Jiang Shaowei suddenly lowered her voice and said, "Hurry up and get ready, she's back." As soon as she finished speaking, Zhu Lingling opened the door of the private room and walked out after washing her hands. Tang Chuan pushed Gao Ran and immediately pushed him in front of Zhu Lingling. "What's going on?" Zhu Lingling looked at Gao Ran, who was holding the ring and flowers, in confusion. Before Gao Ran could speak, Huamin stood up and asked with a smile, "Miss Zhu Lingling, will you marry Mr. Gao Ran and be his wife, in sickness and in poverty, until the end of your life?" "Mian, what are you pranking me for?" Zhu Lingling thought it was a prank. Meanwhile, Tang Chuan was still humming the wedding march, dang dang dang, dang 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 dang. Then, she saw Gao Ran slowly open the brocade box and kneel on one knee. He looked at Zhu Lingling with deep love in his eyes and said gently, "Lingling, let's get married, marry me, fuck." Zhu Lingling was so shocked that she cursed. Chapter 1653. It was a good thing that everyone was used to her wild personality. "He's proposing to you. What's with your expression?" Jiang Shaowei asked with a smile. Tang Chuan and the others cheered and clapped. "Say yes, say yes. This is a bit too sudden, isn't it? Didn't you say that you'd marry Gao Ran after I got pregnant? But I'm already 2 months pregnant. Miss Zhu Lingling, you have to keep your word. Hua Min corrected her. No. I mean, it's not the right time. After all, Qin Chu will come back. He'll be happy for you guys. Lingling, there are many things in life that you can't wait for. Don't regret it when you miss it. You guys have everything you want now. Don't do anything that will make you regret it. Not every couple that met in their youth has the chance to become husband and wife. Hua Min's words were very persuasive. This idiot. Where did he get the flowers and the ring? This is so unexpected. Zhu Lingling's eyes glistened with tears. It was obvious that she was touched. Why do you care so much? We're looking at Captain Gao's sincerity and heart. Wei Liao interrupted. If you don't say yes, I'm going to get up. It hurts to kneel. Gao Ran teased. Fuck. Don't you dare. If you get up, I'll break your legs. After Zhu Lingling finished speaking, everyone burst into laughter. 3 seconds later, Zhu Lingling reached out her hand. Gao Ran happily took out the ring and put it on her finger. Then, he handed her the roses. Kiss. Kiss. Tang Chuan wasn't afraid of things getting out of hand. Zhu Lingling was also very generous. She grabbed Gao Ran's head and kissed him on the lips. She was extremely bold, especially with the straightforwardness and rudeness of a northern woman. Applause sounded. Hua Min looked at the two of them with gratification and smiled silently. Su Yu finally realized that the brocade box that Hua Min secretly hid contained a ring. He didn't even know when she bought it. What a thoughtful girl. Hurry up and set a date so we can attend the wedding. Don't do it when I'm in confinement, Jiang Shaowei complained. Yeah. Don't do it when I'm in confinement. Hua Min agreed. You two pregnant women. You have so many things to do. Do you still want to be in-laws? If you want to be a good girl. Hua Min smiled and threatened them. I think next month is a good day. It's already spring in Beifeng, so it's not that cold anymore. How about next month? I think there's no time like the present. Today is a good day, Tang Chuan interrupted. It's easy for you guys to say that. Zhu Lingling giggled in Gao Ran's arms. Hua Min could see the happiness on her face. It seemed that her preparations were correct. Although Mr. Qin wasn't here, if he was, he would support her plan. So we can eat wedding candies. Su Yu, who had been silent all this time, smiled. So, shouldn't Captain Gao foot the bill today? After all, it's a happy occasion. Tang Chuan teased. Sure, I'll buy it. Let's get drunk. Gao Ran said straightforwardly. It could be seen that Gao Ran loved Zhu Lingling very much. After the proposal was successful, his eyes were filled with unconcealable surprise. If Hua Min didn't urge them, who knew when these two stubborn donkeys would get married? They couldn't live together illegally forever, right? During the banquet, everyone drank and chatted merrily, and chatted happily. Hua Min used the excuse of going out to get some fresh air and walked out of the private room to the balcony of the hotel alone. He stood there in a daze, enjoying the breeze. Su Yu looked at his watch. It had been 10 minutes, but Hua Min still hadn't returned. He stood up worriedly. You guys eat first, I'll go check on her. After Su Yu stood up and walked out, Wei Liao suddenly asked, do you guys think Lord Su is happy or in pain right now? Everyone fell silent after Wei Liao asked this question. Chapter 1654. I think Su Yu might fall deeper and deeper. Jiang Shaowei said. I think this time, Lord Su's dream came true. Isn't that a good thing? Although you guys are Chin Chu's fans and might scold me, I still have to make a fair analysis. If Chin Chu really dies, it's also a chance for Suyu. Because in this world, the most suitable person for Huamin is Lord Su. At the same time, Huamin is also the woman that Lord Su loves the most. Tang Chuan immediately went on a ramble. Mian won't fall in love with someone else so easily. Zhu Lingling was unconvinced. I know she won't fall in love easily. It's just a matter of time. I don't believe that in 5 or 10 years, Lord Su won't get married. He'll stay by her side and take care of her and their children. Then, who can guarantee that Huamin won't fall in love with him? After all, humans aren't saints. Who can be so cold-blooded and heartless forever? It was very surprising that Tang Chuan could say something so profound. It was obvious that he was very protective of Suyu. Gao Ran nodded and analyzed objectively. Tang Chuan is right. It's just a matter of time. But with Suyu's status, it's unlikely that he won't get married in 5 or 10 years, right? The Su family probably won't allow it. Besides, if Huamin gives birth to the twins, she'll be a single mother. Would the Su family accept such a granddaughter-in-law? I'm going to argue with you. Don't you know how Lord Su threatened Lord Su this time? Although the Su family is rich and powerful, they're not unreasonable. As far as I know, Mrs. Su really likes Huamin. What about Lord Su? Even if he can't accept Huamin, he definitely won't stop his grandson if he really loves her. Jiang Shaowei took a sip of mineral water and said, "It's still too early to talk about this. In the end, let's see how things develop, right?" Wei Liao nodded. Anyway, I also think that if Chin Chu really can't come back, then without a doubt, Lord Su is the most suitable person to take care of Huamin for the rest of his life. After Wei Liao finished speaking, the whole audience was silent. No one objected. They all knew how Siyu felt about Huamin. In the long corridor of the hotel, Huamin stood on the windowsill, which was not very high. Looking down, this was the 6th floor. It wasn't very high, but the view was very good. The Tang family's private kitchen was located in a very private place. There was a courtyard in front and a garden in the back. From Huamin's angle, she could see the trees and potted plants in the backyard. It was beautiful. Even though spring had not officially arrived in the north, it was already a lot warmer. There were also swallows that had flown back from the south and were starting to build their nests under the eaves. Huamin reached out and opened the window. A gust of cool wind blew over, instantly clearing up her mind. She placed her hand on her stomach and said softly, "Chin Chu, do you see? Spring is here, but you haven't come home yet. If you can't come back, tell me in my dreams, okay? I'll take the baby to the other world to find you." Huamin was actually feeling hopeless because she didn't know how much longer she could wait. It was so far away. Therefore, in that moment, she had the urge to speak softly. The wind blew, and her frail body swayed. It was as if she could be blown away by the wind at any moment. When Suyu went out to look for Huamin, he saw this frightening scene. Huamin stood on the windowsill on the 6th floor with the windows wide open. In that instant, his heart jumped into his throat. "Huamin, what do you want?" Suyu was angry. Chapter 1655. Huamin slowly turned around and smiled when she saw Suyu. "Nothing, I just wanted to get some fresh air. Hurry up and come down." This was the first time Suyu had spoken so loudly to Huamin. His tone was filled with worry and blame. "Okay. I'm coming down." Just as Huamin was about to move, she suddenly realized that something was wrong. She couldn't move because her leg was cramping. Seeing that Huamin's expression wasn't right, Suyu immediately became nervous. "What's wrong?" "My leg is cramping. it hurts. Upon hearing Huamin's words, Suyu immediately rushed over and carried Huamin down from the windowsill. Then, he quickly walked into the private room. You guys eat first, Huamin's leg is cramping. I have to take her back to the hospital for a checkup. After speaking, he left without looking back. Everyone was left alone in the private room, confused. Tang Chuan, it's just a cramp, look at how nervous Lord Su is. Jiang Xiaowei, actually, it's normal for pregnant women to have cramps. Maybe it's because of a lack of calcium. I sometimes have them too. Wei Liao, that's why Lord Su is so nervous. Zhu Lingling, I think I'm starting to become a fan of Su Yu. He's so manly. Gao Ran, so, does my proposal still count? Miss Zhu Lingling, when do you plan to hold a wedding with me? After Gao Ran asked this question, everyone laughed again. Zhu Lingling's face turned red. Let's talk about it when I'm in a better mood. After Su Yu sent Huamin to the military hospital, he immediately did a full-body checkup. After confirming that there were no problems, he finally relaxed. In the hospital room, Huamin was resting with the help of a nurse. Don't worry, she's really fine. Huamin smiled as she comforted Su Yu. To be honest, for a moment just now, you actually wanted to kill yourself, right? A little bit, but I just thought about it, I didn't do it. After all, I have 2 babies. I can't let them down. Huamin, don't do anything stupid, don't scare me. Don't die, okay? Su Yu was truly scared. The thing that he feared the most in his life was losing Huamin. The scene just now, he was so scared that his heart felt like it was going to jump out. No one could empathize with him, no. Live on. Be strong and live on. Everything will pass. Yes. Then you should rest early. I'll come and see you later. Okay. After Hudo comfort means to mean to's mean. At the door, Huamin was surrounded by the top-notch bodyguards that he assigned to him. Huamin was the only one in the entire military hospital who received such treatment. Every day, he carefully selected the food that he ate. Everything he ate was made with the best ingredients. The fruits were freshly picked from the garden, and the water he drank was strictly purified. Su Yu really did everything he could. This was something that many women envied. The nurse poured Huamin a glass of water and handed it to him. Miss Hua. Young Master Su is so good to you. Huamin only smiled faintly and didn't say anything else. Su Yu drove straight back to the Su family's mansion. Mrs. Su was eating dinner alone at home. Son, have you eaten yet? I have, then come and have a bowl of soup to warm yourself up. Mrs. Su scooped a bowl of red bean soup and handed it to him. Su Yu took off his jacket and the maid hung it up. Then, he washed his hands, walked to the dining table, and sat down next to his mother. Have you been tired from work recently? You don't look so good. I'm not tired. Then why do you look so tired? Are you sick? Mrs. Su asked with concern. No, after speaking, Su Yu picked up the red bean soup and quietly drank it. Mrs. Su was thinking about what to ask next when Su Yu put down the bowl and suddenly said, Mom. I want to ask you for a favor. Go ahead. I want Huamin to move in with us. What? Mrs. Su was slightly surprised. Chapter 1656. I want Huamin to move in with us. Why? Mrs. Su was confused. Because I don't think the hospital is safe. That's a military hospital, how can it be unsafe? Not being safe is only one reason. The other reason is that it doesn't feel like home. I don't want her to spend the rest of her pregnancy there. She's still a few months away from giving birth. It's so sad that she doesn't have a family by her side. Our house is so big, and Grandpa and Dad aren't home often. Wouldn't it be nice to have one more person by your side? That's true, but there's no reason for her to live with us. She's not your girlfriend or your daughter-in-law. Mrs. Sue's words made sense. Who said that only girlfriends and daughters-in-law can live with us? Seriously. I always thought you were an open-minded person, but why are you still so old-fashioned, Mrs. Sue? Mrs. Sue didn't know what to say. Sue continued, our house is very safe. A soldier is here to protect our house because of Grandpa. So, I think it's the safest place for Hwamian to live. Even an international assassin wouldn't be able to enter our house. It's enough for her to give birth to the baby safely, so that bitch won't try to hurt her. Hurt her? Someone wants to hurt Hwamin. Of course. Do you think I'd go through all this trouble? Plus, I'm sure Hwamian won't want to come. She's a very shy and prideful girl. I'll have to trouble you to do this yourself. Mrs. Sue was speechless. That's why I'm begging you, can I say no? Mrs. Sue suddenly felt that her son's request was too difficult. Are you still my biological mother? Mrs. Sue, but your dad and Grandpa, I'll talk to them myself. Don't worry. But, hey, no buts. If you don't say anything, then it's settled. Ha. I'll go to the jewelry room and get someone to decorate it tomorrow. She'll move in next week, then. Sue got up and went upstairs. This child is really mischievous. Will it work? Mrs. Sue was also nervous. She didn't discuss it with her husband and father-in-law before letting Hwamin move in. Was it really reliable? Sue was a man of his word. He began to tidy up the room upstairs in the Sue family's villa. He cleared out the room he usually stayed in and moved to the study next door. There was a single bed in the study. Although it was a little small, it was clean and tidy. If Hwamin could move in, then he would live next door. He suddenly felt so close to her, so happy. Late at night, at the Hwa family's mansion, Hwa Sichen was having a party with the top management of the entertainment company, a few directors, and a group of bikini-clad beauties by the pool at home. It was very lively. The scene was also a restricted-level image. A director was kissing a third-rate actress under his company, as if no one else was around. Hwa Sichen, on the other hand, was calmly smoking his cigar with a smile on his face. It was as if he was watching a TV show. Over the years, he had seen many scenes like this. After he started his own entertainment company, he knew the rules, so he was doing very well. Just then, a notification came from his phone. He opened WeChat and saw a video. Hwa Sichen's eyes changed slightly. He squinted and looked at it carefully. Chapter 1657. It was a video of Hwamin eating silently with his head down. Sue had sent a lot of people to the military base, so his men couldn't get in. Therefore, he could only bribe the nurse and ask her to send him a video occasionally. In the video, Hwamin was wearing a white shirt and looked very clean. His hair was messy and there was no makeup on his face. He looked as pure and innocent as when he was in school. However, his face was slightly chubbier. Her face was very quiet, without a smile or loneliness. He liked it the most when she was quiet like this. If it wasn't for that damned Sue interrupting them, he would have been in the middle of the night. Right now, he should be on some island in Australia, living a peaceful life with Hwamin. He wouldn't be here looking at the video and missing her. Mian, you really make me think about you all the time. He whispered as he looked at the video. He had a gentle smile on his face. President Hwa, want to have a drink? A young model with a hot body walked up to him. I'm not good with alcohol. Then let's play rock paper scissors? Not in the mood. Then, why don't you touch my chest and see what size it is? After speaking, before Hua Xiqian could react, the model quickly grabbed Hua Xiqian's hand and placed it on her burning breasts. Hua Xiqian took his hand back and smiled meaningfully. To be honest, it's not that interesting. I'm a little tired of it. The model smiled awkwardly and tactfully turned around to leave. Just then, someone in the crowd yelled, "Mo Shui is here." Everyone's eyes turned in that direction. Mo Shui appeared not far away in a dark red bikini. Hua Xiqian didn't invite her, so it seemed like she came after hearing the news. "Shui, long time no see." "Hi, Director Zhu, long time no see." Mo Shui smiled sweetly. "Shui, do you want to sit here and have a drink?" "It's okay. Producer, I'm here to see President Hua." "Wow, you're so sweet." Everyone in the industry knew that Mo Shui and Hua Xiqian were together for many years, so it went without saying. Hua Xiqian knew that Mo Shui was here and that she was walking towards him, but he didn't look up. It was as if he didn't see her. "What's going on?" "You don't see me. What do you want?" Hua Xiqian's index finger spun on the table. "Can't I come to you for free?" Mo Shui walked over and sat down next to Hua Xiqian. Then, she intimately and rapt. However, Hua Xiqian bounced her away. "What? You're a new girlfriend? You Shui-ers?" Shui was a girl of Hua Shui. "What?" Mo Shui's expression changed. "Haven't you been in a relationship with Jiang Yi lately? He's been at your apartment for so many days now. If you're going to play with him, then play with him. You should act like a prostitute, don't be so fickle. After all, you're not a prostitute, so you should know your place." "Hua Xiqian, is that how you look at me?" Mo Shui stared at Hua Xiqian with an ugly expression. "What else can I do? Do you think you're a fairy in my heart?" Hua Xiqian flicked the cigarette ash in his hand and smiled slightly. Mo Shui was so angry that her whole body trembled. "Hua Xiqian, you're a man, don't be so mean with your words." "Mean? I think I've been too kind to you." "Mo Shui, do you know when to stop? Do you know that you won't die if you don't ask for it? So now that you're done with me, you want to dump me? Throw me away like trash?" Mo Shui was obviously not satisfied. "You're mistaken. You're exaggerating. Trash doesn't talk as much as you do. You..." Mo Shui was so angry that she didn't know what to say. Then, she changed the topic and asked, "Are you frustrated because Huamin is pregnant with twins? How did you know about this?" Hua Xiqian looked at Mo Shui with a dark expression. His eyes were terrifyingly cold. Chapter 1658. What? Are you scared? Mo Shui looked at Hua Xiqian proudly. However, Hua Xiqian suddenly grabbed her wrist. "What? Are you hurting me? Tell me, how did you find out? Did you investigate her?" Hua Xiqian's expression couldn't get any uglier. He really didn't like how Mo Shui kept staring at Huamin. "I didn't. Then how did you find out?" I have a loyal fan who works at the military hospital and sees Huamin every day. She sent me a WeChat message. I didn't tell anyone," Mo Shui argued. However, Hua Xiqian obviously didn't believe her. "I'm telling you, stay away from her, even if I help you get her, can't I?" "No, get lost. I don't need your help." Hua Xiqian gave Mo Shui a hard shove. If it weren't for the fact that she bumped into someone behind her, she really would have fallen into the swimming pool. Mo Shui was so embarrassed that she got up and left angrily. "Shui, you're leaving so soon. the directors greeted her. Mo Shui didn't reply. Huamin, you only have eyes for that little bitch Huamin. I'll deal with her sooner or later. Mo Shui cursed Huamin the entire way. The next morning, Huamin woke up in the morning. After breakfast, he was about to turn on the TV for prenatal education. Just then, he heard the nurse who was taking care of him yell, "Miss Hua, someone's here to see you." Just as Huamin was wondering who it was, he saw the person push open the door and walk in. She was wearing a white suit and looked very clean and elegant. "Auntie Sue." Huamin was a little surprised. "Mian, sit down." Suyu's mother walked over and put down the fruits and flowers in her hands. Then, she carefully helped Huamin up. "I'm fine, Mian, how far along are you?" "It's only been 2 months." "I can't tell." Huamin smiled. "I heard from you. I'm sorry that I didn't come to see you until now." No. "Auntie Sue, please don't say that. I'm really grateful that you came. You're an elder. If it weren't for the fact that I can't move freely, I would have visited you a long time ago." Huamin especially respected Suyu's mother. He had interacted with her at Southside before, and she was a well-educated woman. "Don't say that. It's rare that we're fated to meet. I like you, kid. You and you are good friends, so you really don't have to treat me like an outsider." Alright, Huamin was still a little reserved when he saw Lady Sue. Lady Sue put the lavender and lilies she bought into the vase. Then, she took out an apple and carefully peeled it for Huamin. "Mian, you need to eat some apples, okay? Apples contain a lot of vitamins." "Okay. Look at my memory, I forgot that you're a doctor and know more than I do, haha." Then, she couldn't help but giggle like an innocent little girl. Huamin couldn't help but laugh as well. "Let me tell you, sometimes, I have a tendency to forget things. Even Suyu said that I don't know if I'll get Alzheimer's in the future. When I took care of you, he ate a lot of apples. That's why he was born white and chubby. He's a little tan now because of the sun in the army. Anyway, just eat more apples." "Okay, I'll listen to you." Huamin nodded, and a trace of warmth flashed across his heart. His mother wasn't by his side, and it had been a long time since an elder spoke to him like this. He felt very gratified. As they chatted, they reached the main point. Huamin took the apple from Lady Sue and took a bite. Then, she heard Mrs. Sue ask, "Mian, actually, I came here today to ask if you can move in with us." "Ahem, what did you say?" Huamin almost choked on the apple. Chapter 1659. "I actually want you to move in with me," Lady Sue looked at Huamin and said gently. "Auntie, I can't do that. I already owe the Sue family a lot. I know that if it weren't for Suyu begging Lord Sue this time, I might have already been." Zhu Lingling, that gossipy person, had already told Huamin in private how Suyu threatened his grandpa to save the damsel in distress. Huamin felt extremely bad after hearing this, but she never asked Suyu about it. After all, if he asked about it, she couldn't say anything. Other than saying thank you, there was nothing else she could do now. Therefore, she planned to remember this favor silently in her heart. If Suyu really needed her help in the future, she would do whatever she could to save him. Then, it would really be a mountain of daggers and a sea of flames. He would not shirk his duty. In this world, there was no greater favor than saving a life. Unfortunately, in today's society, people were used to taking and receiving, but they forgot to have a grateful heart. Don't say that. Since you're Yu's good friend, he won't ignore your safety. To be honest, this time, it seemed easy to bail you out from prison to the military and then to the hospital, but in fact, my father did put in a lot of effort. The military isn't as simple as people think. The higher your rank, the more careful you have to be. Otherwise, you might accidentally drag your family into eternal damnation. I don't mean anything by telling you this, but since the Sioux family saved you, it proves that you're worth it. Also, from a personal standpoint, I'll never believe that you're that murderer. I don't know the whole story, and I won't ask about it. I believe that you have your reasons. But since you're safe now, you'll be fine in the future. Auntie Sue, I can't go to your house. Huamin seemed to be in a hurry to refuse. However, Lady Sue held Huamin's hand and said in a serious tone, Mian, don't worry, listen to me first. Okay. Huamin nodded. You're now 2 months pregnant, and you're twins, so this process must be difficult. It's a little more difficult than normal pregnant women. Your family members are not by your side for special reasons, so it's not a foolproof plan for you to stay in the hospital. Also, I heard from you that the hospital isn't safe. It seems like someone wants to harm you. Lady Sue didn't know about the grudge between Hua Xiqian and Huamin, but she vaguely heard from Su Yu that someone was constantly endangering Huamin's safety. Huamin didn't say anything and continued to listen. Also, my dad went to see Mayor Song that day and had a long talk. I don't need to say more about Mayor Song. You should know him, right? He's the father of the victim this time. He only has one daughter, and it's obvious how he's feeling after losing her. Now that you're out in one piece, he couldn't hold it in and immediately questioned my dad about the details of the incident. Between the lines, my dad analyzed that Mayor Song might not let this go. He must hate you to the core. After all, he thinks you're the suspect in his daughter's death. Huamin nodded, thinking that Lady Sue had a point. Mayor Song is the highest authority in the city. His influence is not to be underestimated. The military hospital is too big, and there are too many people. It's inevitable that we'll make mistakes. If his people are really there, they might accidentally cause an accident and cause you to lose the baby, let alone something serious. So, I hope you can think about the baby and be selfish. Move to our place. The reason why I'm asking you to move to our place is because the Sioux family is the safest place right now. Because of my dad, there's a regiment of soldiers guarding our residential area. Not even a high-level assassin can sneak in, let alone the mayor's people. The security is very tight. Just bear with it for a while and wait until the baby is born. It won't be too late for you to move out then. Mayor Song is still angry right now, and Yu is really afraid that he'll do something to you. That's why we came up with this plan. We're not trying to make things difficult for you. Chapter 1660. Auntie Sue, I understand your good intentions, but I don't have the right to move into the Sioux family with my status. I'll bring you trouble. Plus, Su Yu is still single. I'm afraid that if word gets out, it won't be good for him, Huamin said tactfully. The Sioux family isn't afraid of being implicated. We'll protect you well and won't let the media spread rumors. As for Su Yu, I've already thought about it. After you move in, I'll ask him to move out and not allow him to live at home. That's because it'll also affect your reputation. If your husband comes back one day and sees you at home, it might cause a misunderstanding. So, I might as well not let him come back, Auntie Sue. To be honest, Lady Sue's words were too careful. Even someone as smart as Huamin didn't know how to refuse. She had said so much for him. If he insisted on not going at this time, he would seem too pretentious. Seeing Huamin hesitate, Lady Sue said, My dad and my husband are rarely at home. My family is in the south, and I'm usually alone at home. It's very boring. If you can go, I'll have one more person to accompany me. As long as you don't mind my nagging. Why would I? You're such a nice person, I really like you. Huamin praised Lady Su from the bottom of his heart. Lady Su's eyes lit up, and she excitedly grabbed Huamin's hand. That's great, then you agree. It's settled then. Hey. Auntie Su, after I tidy up the room in a few days, I'll ask you to bring you over. You'll have to suffer for a few more days. Don't worry, I'm very good at taking care of pregnant women. I've also given birth before, so I'm very experienced. Lady Su looked very happy. Huamin didn't know what to say. He couldn't refuse anymore. The Su family had been very kind to her, and she didn't want Lady Su to feel bad. Moreover, they had already said that they had already kicked Su Yu out in order to bring her over. And his goal was to protect her until she gave birth. To be honest, Huamin also felt that it would be safer to go to the Su family. Otherwise, even if there were bodyguards here, he would still be afraid that the pervert Hua Xiqin would suddenly make a move on him one day. Huamin was not afraid of death, but if he accidentally lost the baby, how could he face Qin Chu in the future? Facing the Qin family's in-laws. In the end, Huamin nodded. Then. I'll have to trouble Auntie from now on. What are you talking about? It's no trouble at all. We just have another daughter in our family. Lady Su smiled gently. Huamin was also very, very touched. Huamin didn't ask Lady Su if this was Su Yu's idea. Moreover, with Lady Su's intelligence, she wouldn't say anything. However, Huamin knew in his heart that Su Yu must have asked his mother to persuade Huamin. Because if it were Su Yu, Huamin would definitely refuse. No matter what he said, she wouldn't move to the Su family's house. Just as Huamin said, what identity would she have to go to the Su family's house? She wouldn't have a legitimate reason. However, if it were Su Yu's mother who said these words, it would be different. She was an elder, and she was so good at talking. She clearly analyzed the pros and cons of this matter from start to finish. At this point, if you didn't go, you wouldn't be doing them a favor. Therefore, Su Yu was very powerful and directly asked his mother to come out. She persuaded Huamin in one go. That night, when Su Yu came home from work for dinner, he couldn't wait to ask his mother. Mom, did you go to the military hospital? Did you see Huamin? Did you talk about that matter? Chapter 1661. I'll go. Young Master Su, how can I not do what you want me to do? Ha! Mom, stop messing around, let's talk nicely. Su Yu hugged his mother's shoulders and acted cute. Clean up the house for the next few days and disinfect it thoroughly. Also, prepare some new daily necessities and bring Mian back in a few days. Mom, she agreed. Su Yu was ecstatic. Of course, Mian is a very sensible child. She should understand what I'm saying. What did you say? I'm curious. Su Yu admired his mother. It's not something you should worry about. Oh, by the way, when Mian comes over, you're not allowed to come home. Su Yu was speechless. Why? Su Yu looked wronged. To avoid suspicion. What suspicion? Su Yu was a little confused by his mother's words. Silly boy. How can you chase a girl like this? If you let her stay at home and see her all day long, she'll feel uncomfortable. She's pregnant. Plus, if her family comes back to see the baby and finds out that she moved in for no reason and is friends with you, then it'll become a problem. So, if you want to see her in the future, just come back for dinner. You're not allowed to stay overnight, or else. I won't let her stay with us. Mom. Do you have to be so careful? Our house is so powerful, the media won't come in and take pictures. It's not for the media, it's for Mion's family. I heard that Mion's husband's whereabouts are unknown. We don't know if he's dead or alive, so maybe he's still alive. So, if they come back and see you two living in the same house, what will they think? If it were you, would you feel good? Suyu didn't know how to refute Suyu's mother's question. Okay. I didn't think too much about it. As long as she's willing to come to our house, I'm fine with anything. I'm just worried that she'll be in danger. After all, Hua Xiqian and Mayor Song are watching us closely, don't worry. I can't promise you anything else, but I can definitely take care of Huamin until he gives birth. Thank you, Mom. Suyu hugged his mother's neck intimately. Why are you being so polite with me? Do you think I can't tell what you're thinking? Silly boy. Suyu scratched his head in embarrassment. In any case, as long as Huamin could stay at his house, he would feel a lot more at ease. He could even sleep soundly. After dinner, Suyu drove out to have a drink with Wei Liao and Tang Chuan. Lady Su was sitting in the living room, brewing flower tea. Madam, are we going to have guests moving in? Auntie Yu asked. Yes. Young master always talks about Mian. Ha, she must be the girl that young master likes. How do you know? Lady Su looked up curiously. Because every time he says that name, his eyes have a kind of, how do I put it? Anyways, it's a different feeling. I've been in our house for so many years and watched young master grow up. I can tell what he's thinking. Auntie Ute smiled honestly. Lady Su nodded. Holding the flower tea, she said quietly, yeah, I've never seen him so gentle. That's why this is a good thing. Young master finally has someone he likes. You used to worry that young master was too stubborn and disobedient in his private life. He is indeed disobedient, but I can't do anything about it. My poor son, Lady Su said with a complicated look in her eyes. She really liked Huamin, but she knew that Huamin wasn't Su Yu's. Inside a clubhouse owned by the Tang Corporation, what? Huamin is moving into your house. Really? Tang Chuan didn't believe it and thought that Su Yu was bragging. Chapter 1662. Of course it's true, when have I ever lied to you guys? Su Yu glared at Tang Chuan and retorted. But, with my understanding of Dr. Hua, why would she? Tang Chuan had known Huamin for a long time, so he knew a little about her. With her personality, she wouldn't easily move into Su Yu's house, right? That would be so awkward. I think he asked for help. He can't do such a difficult thing on his own, Wei Liao interrupted. Wei Liao, you're smart. I did ask my mom to help me. Pfft, you asked Auntie. You're amazing, bro. Su Yu was probably the only one who would use his mother to chase a girl. Auntie Su is really easy to talk to. She actually agreed to help you. That's because my mom really likes Huamin, Su Yu said proudly. But no matter what, Huamin agreed to come. This is a good thing for you, Wei Liao said slowly. That's right. The pavilion closest to the water enjoys the moonlight first. How could our Lord Su not understand this? Tang Chuan snickered. But my mom said, after Huamin moves in, I have to move out of the house. Su Yu's words confused Wei Liao and Tang Chuan. Because she said she has to avoid suspicion. Plus, if I live at home, it won't be convenient for Huamin, Su Yu added. If that's the case, you don't have many chances. What's the difference between living at the hospital and living at the hospital? Tang Chuan asked. It's not as good as living at the hospital. If it's at the hospital, you can visit whenever you want. But if it's at home, there are so many people there, it wouldn't be appropriate for you to visit, especially with your parents and grandpa. It would be awkward no matter how you treat Huamin in front of your family. Wei Liao analyzed carefully. Forget it. I don't want to think too much about it. I didn't ask Huamin to move into my house to pursue her. It's because the military hospital is full of people. I don't know when Mayor Song and Huasiqian's people will sneak in, so I'm worried. I have to protect her until she gives birth. She's safe at home. No other place can compare to her. Tang Chuan and Wei Liao knew how strong the Su family's network was, so they agreed with Su Yu's opinion. At noon, Huamian was about to take a nap after lunch when she heard a commotion outside. What's going on? She opened her eyes and asked the nurse. There's a performance at the hospital today. They say, a superstar is coming to our hospital to sing for us. I don't know if it's true or not, but I didn't receive any notice before. It's quite sudden. Really? There's a superstar. Yeah, do you want to go take a look? The nurse's eyes lit up. Huamin didn't have the heart to refuse. Okay, it's so loud anyway, I can't sleep. Let's go take a look. Huamin didn't like to join in the fun, but she could tell that the nurse taking care of her really wanted to go, so she went with her. The nurse helped her walk from the back of the recuperation building to the front of the office building. She didn't know when a gorgeous stage was set up, many people surrounded the stage, and the nurse pulled Huamin inside. When people turned around and saw Huamin, they immediately made way for her. They all knew that this was a girl with a special status. She was someone that young Master Su especially adored. Finally, the nurse led Huamin to the front of the stage. It was also the so-called superstar's turn. Huamin was slightly surprised when she saw the woman. Chapter 1663. It was Mo Shui. Mo Shui obviously saw her as well. She glanced at her with a faint smile on her face. Then, she picked up the microphone and said, "Thank you for your warm applause. Let me sing a song, what would you like to hear?" Mo Shui interacted with the people below the stage, but Huamin suddenly lost interest. She had always believed that Mo Shui lied to Huasiqian, or that she knew the truth from the beginning. Therefore, she was disgusted by this person. You can watch from here, I'm a little sleepy. I'm going to sleep. You just came in and left. The nurse didn't know what was going on and expressed her disappointment. Emichim, you can watch. Huamin patted her shoulder and turned around to leave. Mo Shui watched Huamin's back as he left, and the corners of her mouth curled up. Huamin lay on the bed and fell asleep in a daze. She vaguely felt that someone was looking at her in her room. She suddenly opened her eyes, and sure enough, Mo Shui was in her room. Why are you here? What? Are you scared? Mo Shui smiled like a flower, but her smile was extremely creepy. Huamin instinctively sat up and was on high alert. Mo Shui was Huasiqian's woman, so she was her enemy. There was no doubt about that. You look good. There's food and drinks. The Su family really invested a lot to protect you this time. What does that have to do with you? Huamin coldly replied. It doesn't. I'm just curious, how hard did you perform in bed for Su Yu to be so loyal to you? He even used the military's power to protect you. You're really something, you played two outstanding men like a fiddle. Oh, sorry, I misspoke, it was 3. And my favorite, Qian, is obsessed with you. I don't want to argue with you, please leave, now. Huamin ordered her to leave. What are you busy with? We've known each other for a long time. I told them that I'm your good friend, and they all believed me. Ha! To outsiders, I'm visiting my best friend. Mo Shui, can you not be so disgusting? Did you become a hypocrite after spending so much time with Huasiqian? Is it tiring to wear a mask? Huamin looked at her faintly. Whether I'm tired or not is my own business. You don't have to worry about it. Then it's my business to toy with whoever I want. I don't need you to tell me what to do, Hwamian retorted. Then, Hwamian got up to get off the bed. Do you want some water? I get you a cup of water. After she finished speaking, she poured a glass hand as she handed the water it. She didn't take the hand. And then, hers water droplets jumped out and almost scalded Hwamin. Luckily, she reacted quickly and dodged. Men. Hwamin was really angry. The bodyguard immediately ran in. Miss Hwa, what's wrong? Get this person out of here, now. Yes. The tall bodyguard immediately walked over and dragged Mo Shue out of the room. Ha! Hwamin, do you think you can keep your child? Dream on. Hua Xiqian won't let them off the hook. Your child can't be born, he has plenty of ways to deal with you. In the end, you'll only end up as a sparrow imprisoned by him. How pitiful, pathetic, and laughable. Mo Shue looked at Hwamin viciously as she spoke. Chapter 1664. You're talking about your own situation, aren't you? Also, cursing a child is the most vicious thing in the world. You're a woman too, and you'll be a mother in the future. I hope you can see this clearly. Good and evil will be repaid. Remember to be virtuous. Karma is reincarnated. Before Mo Shue could say anything else, the bodyguards dragged her out. After Mo Shue left, Hwamin didn't feel like sleeping anymore. She lowered her head and cleaned up the broken glasses. She felt a little depressed. She always knew that Hua Xiqian wouldn't let her off the hook so easily. Now that she was pregnant, how did he know? Although Mo Shue's words were harsh, they weren't necessarily false. So, moving into the Su family was the best choice, wasn't it? When Su Yu came in the afternoon and heard the bodyguards report what happened, he was furious. Who let this woman in? Are you all idiots? Su Yu yelled. The nurse taking care of Miss Hua told us that this woman is a superstar. She wouldn't lie. She must be Miss Hua's friend. That's why we, shut up. So what if she's a superstar? In my eyes, she's nothing. How many times have I told you not to let anyone see Hwamin? Are you all deaf? The four bodyguards fell silent. Young Master Su, it's all my fault. The nurse said with tears in her eyes. If she didn't admire Mo Shue so much that she easily believed her words, she wouldn't have let her in to piss Miss Hua off. Shut up. I'll deal with you later. Su Yu hadn't been this angry in a long time. He was truly furious. He pushed the door open and saw Hwamin sitting on the couch, knitting a sweater. At that moment, his gaze immediately softened. I heard about what happened with Mo Shue. Are you okay? Did she do anything bad to you? I'll go find her right now. No, she just said some extreme things. I don't take it to heart. Hwamin smiled. Su Yu walked over and looked down at the ball of wool in Hwamin's hand. She asked curiously, what is this? The nurse bought it for me. I plan to knit 2 sweaters. After the babies are born, they can be worn in winter. You're really talented. There are so many finished products out there. Why do you have to put in so much effort? Hwamin smiled and said, it's just a small token of appreciation from a mother. I have nothing to do anyway. Those guys are all trash. I've decided to fire them, and that irresponsible nurse. I'll kick them all out. Don't. They didn't do it on purpose. It's not their fault that they didn't know. Hwamin put down the ball of wool in his hand. She knew that Suyu was a man of his word. However, it really wasn't a big deal. He really wasn't in any danger. Plus, a scheming bitch like Emo Shui was more than enough to deal with a few honest bodyguards and nurses. Of course, I can let them go, but you have to move out today. Huamin, don't worry, I won't live at home. I won't cause you any trouble. That's not what I meant, I just think it's too much trouble for Auntie Sue. Huamin was a little apologetic. What trouble? She likes you a lot too. So, Dr. Hua, do you want me to get you a new group of bodyguards and fire that irresponsible nurse, or do you want to move into our house ahead of schedule? Suyu threw Huamin a difficult problem. Huamin, in the end, after thinking about it carefully, Huamin nodded and said, I'll move in today. Suyu was overjoyed. He immediately picked up his phone and called his mother to arrange everything. Huamin officially moved into the Su family's mansion today. On the other side, on an island in the southern part of the Pacific Ocean, a young girl in a crimson dress looked at the man in a black suit. Did you find him? Chapter 1665. Not yet. The subordinate lowered his head apologetically. Crack. The girl smashed the wine glass onto the ground, shattering it into pieces. Trash, boss, please calm down. We tried our best, but his whereabouts are too secretive. I think he's hiding from someone. Lu Yan looked out the window with a gloomy expression. When her sister's husband left, his plane exploded and crashed. She was shocked when she first received the news. Then, she immediately sent people to investigate, and she had to do it secretly. Finally, a few days ago, she found some information about Qin Chu. A family of fishermen closest to that area of the sea had indeed taken in a young man. But he left not long after. Lu Yan was sure that the man was Qin Chu, but where did he go after he left? Why didn't he go back to Huamin? He loved her so much. So, Lu Yan blocked the news and took the fishermen away. To put it nicely, she moved them. To put it bluntly, she put them under house arrest and put them under surveillance. Lu Yan didn't want anyone to know about Qin Chu's whereabouts. Although many people wanted to find him, many people didn't want him to go back. They wanted him to disappear forever. How's my sister? She moved into the Su family, she's safe. How's her mood? She's good, she's been stable. Boss, since you're so worried, why don't you go and see for yourself? Bullshit. If I had the guts to go, would I need you to tell me? Lu Yan was furious. Last time, she didn't listen to her dad and went straight to Japan to save Huamin after completing her mission. She almost caused an earthquake. If that psycho Qiao Fei didn't come and take her away, she would have met that psycho Ian. If that happened, she wouldn't be able to save Huamian, she would be in deep trouble, but how did Ian get her information so quickly? According to the usual pattern, Ian would only start tracking her after 24 hours. Did someone leak the information? Who? Was it that guy Hua Xichen? Lu Yan didn't know Hua Xichen at all because she wasn't interested in investigating a nobody in a small city. But this time, she was truly shocked. Therefore, she also sent people to investigate Hua Xichen. Strangely, she couldn't find anything about the 6 years that were blank. This was getting more and more interesting. Now that she was the first to find out that Qin Chu was still alive, she was very gratified. But since Qin Chu was still alive, why didn't he go back to find his sister? This was yet another unsolved mystery. She was worried about her sister's condition. If it wasn't for father. Thinking of this, his phone rang again. Lu Yan looked at the caller ID helplessly and pressed the exquisite watch on her wrist. Daddy. I just heard your message in the laboratory this morning. Did you say, your sister is pregnant? Yeah. Lu Yan rolled her eyes. Really? The old man's voice was a little excited. Calm down, Dad. Big sis is pregnant, not me. Why are you so agitated? She's been married for more than a year. Isn't it normal for her to get pregnant? Twins? The old man asked again. Yeah, God. God bless you. If your mom knew, she would be very happy. The old man was so happy that he cried. Hearing this, Lu Yan's eyes dimmed. Have you been to see Mom recently? Lu Yan's voice was very soft. Chapter 1666. I didn't. Ian's people are following me too closely. You shouldn't go either, in case he finds out where your mom is. So you're still in the Middle East. Lu Yan was speechless. What else can I do? Do you think I dare to go back to the headquarters? Okay. Dad, now I understand why you don't want me to disturb my sister. Compared to us, she's so much happier. Now you finally understand my intentions. The old man scolded his daughter with sincerity. Yeah, I kind of understand now. If Xiao Fei didn't go last time, you almost killed your sister, do you know that? If he knows where Mian is, then... Don't say it, Dad, I'll be careful in the future, Lu Yan apologized. But, did Psycho Xiao tell on me to you? Xiao Fei didn't say anything, he's a good kid. Ugh. If he was a good kid, then there would be no demons in this world. Okay, I've known him for so many years. I know him better than you do, so you really don't want to think about it. Of course not, I'm still young. I don't want to get married and have kids, it's too scary. I'm not asking you to get married now. Plus, when old Xiao retires, Xiao Fei will definitely take over the family. How do you know it won't be his two scumbag brothers? Lu Yan rolled her eyes. I believe in Xiao Fei. Anyway, if you listen to me and get married to him, then Ian won't be so unscrupulous. After all, he values the power in Russia. Are you asking me to bow down to the strong? Dad? When have I, God Lu Yan, ever been afraid? Do I have to sell myself just because I want a safe haven? That's immoral. I learned how to use a gun at 5 and a bomb at 7. His daughter's narcissism really pissed the old man off. Okay, don't talk nonsense, it's useless. Pay attention to your sister. When the baby is born, tell me the gender and send me a photo. That's all. Dad, when can we? Beep, beep. Before Lu Yan could finish her sentence, her dad hung up. She really wanted to ask when she could reunite with her sister. Because before she knew it, she was about to become an auntie. Is the child a boy or a girl? She turned around abruptly, startling her subordinates behind her. Boss, what's wrong? Tell me, my sister is about to give birth to a baby. What gift should I give her? Boss, it seems like it's going to take a while. I'm just pregnant, what do you know? This is called preparing for a rainy day. Don't tell me I have to wait until it rains before I open my umbrella. Say it, I think, giving them gold bars might be a good idea. Vulgar, Diamond, even more vulgar. Lu Yan rolled her eyes at him, clearly displeased. Then I don't know either. Boss, please don't make things difficult for your subordinate. I said you were trash, and you really lived up to your name. I didn't wrong you. Alright, you can leave now. Yes. The subordinate finally heaved a sigh of relief and ran out. He didn't want to upset his boss. Before he left, he heard Lu Yan mumble, if my sister gives birth to 2 boys, I'll give her a pistol. If it's a girl, I'll give her a Swiss Army knife. If it's a boy and a girl, I'll give her a pistol and a Swiss Army knife. the subordinate was so scared that his legs turned to jelly and he almost fell to the ground. His boss was indeed an internationally wanted criminal. Even the gift he gave was so unique. At the Su family mansion, Mian. It's dinner time. Lady Su gently went upstairs to call Huamin. When the two of them went downstairs, they saw the door open. Grandpa Su walked in his military uniform. Huamin suddenly became nervous. Chapter 1667. Dad, this is Huamin. Lady Su introduced him solemnly. Hello, Master Lord Su. Huamin took the initiative to greet him. After all, he was very grateful to this old man who saved his life, even though he did it for Su Yu's sake. Emichim, Lord Su nodded slightly. His expression was still very serious. He found out about Huamian's intention to move in through the phone. It was Su Yu's mother who told him. He didn't have any objections, it was just one more person in the house. Moreover, his grandson dared to point a gun at him and threaten him with his life. This girl must have something special about her. Moreover, he saved her life, so he didn't mind being a good person until the end. He heard from Su Yu's mother that this girl seemed to have someone who wanted to hurt her, so she was more worried about the safety of the baby in her belly. Therefore, Lord Su didn't have any objections to Huamin moving into this house. Su Yu's father, on the other hand, was very opposed. Unfortunately, Lord Su was the one who called the shots in this house. In the end, it was 3-1, and Su Yu's father lost to his father, wife, and son. Dad, you're back just in time. Dinner is ready. Okay. Lord Su went back to the bedroom to change his clothes, and Mrs. Su affectionately grabbed Huamin's hand and went downstairs. Be careful. Walk slowly. Emichim, don't be afraid. Although my dad looks scary and old-fashioned, he's a good person. He's old now, and sometimes he's as childish as a child. After Mrs. Su finished speaking, Huamin snickered. At the dinner table, the three of them sat together and ate in silence. The Su family's nanny was very good at cooking and paid attention to the details. The food was delicious, and the saltiness was just right. However, Huamin was still a little reserved. Mian, eat more of whatever you like. You're pregnant, so you have to eat more. Thank you, Auntie Su. I'll do it myself. Huamin didn't want Mrs. Su to always take the food, so he took the initiative to do it himself. How many months has it been? Master Lord Su asked solemnly. Huamin was stunned at first, then he and Mrs. Su looked at each other knowingly. Then he replied, It's been 2 months and 6 days. Lord Su. A boy or a girl? Master Lord Su continued to ask. Lord Su, it's still too early to tell. We'll only know in 4 months. Lord Su was a little embarrassed, he coughed lightly and didn't say anything else. Mrs. Su chimed in, It doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl. We haven't had a child in a long time. It must be very lively. I'm looking forward to it. Huamin smiled and didn't say anything else. At this time, the door to the hall opened and Su Yu rushed in. Young master, you're back. Auntie Yu took the initiative to get Su Yu a pair of shoes. Why didn't you wait for me to eat? Su Yu looked wronged. How would I know you were coming back? Mrs. Su looked at her son dotingly and smiled. Ha! What did Huamin eat? Red date glutinous rice porridge, give me a bowl too. Su Yu immediately sat beside Huamin. That's for pregnant women. Why are you joining in? It's okay, madam. There's a lot in the kitchen. I'll get a bowl for young master. Auntie Yu immediately went into the kitchen. Grandpa. You've met her, right? Huamin. What do you think of her? Isn't she super cute? Suyu's words made Hwamin blush slightly. Mrs. Su reprimanded him. How can you ask a child like that in front of him? Seriously. You little brat. Don't be so careless in the future. You're almost 30, Lord Su corrected him. How are you today? Are you tired? If you need anything, let me know and I'll buy it. Suyu looked at Hwamin. It's okay. I have everything. I don't need anything. It's really good. That's good. Don't worry and stay here. If anyone bullies you, just tell Grandpa. He's the boss of the family. Suyu pointed at his grandpa. Lord Su didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Hwamin immediately waved his hand. No one bullied me. The Su family. I'm indebted to them. I'll never forget it. When Hwamin said this, Lord Su, Mrs. Su, and Suyu's expressions all changed. Suyu was the closest to Hwamin. He noticed that Hwamin's eyes were glistening with tears. Chapter 1668. Silly girl. Why are you saying this? Mrs. Su understood Hwamin's feelings, so she didn't feel good either. Auntie Su. Thank you for taking me in without any qualms. You treat me like family. Lord Su. Thank you for helping me get out of prison. I can't repay you for saving my life. Suyu. I can't thank you enough because you've done so much for me. There's still a long way to go. I'll slowly use the rest of my time to repay you. Hearing this, Suyu's heart tightened. He didn't understand what Hwamin meant. Was she offering herself to him? Then, he heard Hwamin say, it'll be inconvenient for you guys to have one more person at home. I'm really sorry for troubling everyone during this period of time. It's no trouble at all. Just stay here, Mrs. Su immediately said with a smile. Lord Su coughed lightly and said in a low voice, don't think too much. Since the Su family is here, we'll definitely protect you. Just focus on your pregnancy. We'll talk about everything after the baby is born. Thank you, Lord Su. I won't stand on ceremony then. Otherwise, I'll seem too pretentious. After speaking, Hwamin took out a piece of tissue and wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes. Then, he picked up the chopsticks on the table and happily picked up his favorite vegetables. Instantly, the atmosphere warmed up. Compared to before, this way of getting along was more comfortable for everyone. Mrs. Su looked at Hwamin with admiration. She felt that this child had a high EQ. With just a few words, he made everyone let go of their grudges. Then, they could get along very naturally. Suyu looked at Hwamin gently. You're so reasonable. You always talk a lot. Anyway, you're amazing. We all admit defeat. I'm not. Hwamin retorted with a smile. After Suyu finished his meal, he didn't dare to stay any longer because he had an agreement with his mother that he wouldn't stay overnight. Suyu didn't want to bring trouble to Hwamin, so he left after eating. Hwamin also went upstairs to rest. In the living room, Lord Su was drinking high-quality tea, and watching a military program. Dad, what do you think of Hwamin? Mrs. Su walked over and sat down next to Grandpa Su. He has a very high EQ and is very good with words, but he's not hypocritical or pretentious, he's a very honest child. Dad, you think very highly of her. Mother Su smiled. Actually, before I met her, I already guessed that she wasn't an ordinary girl. Otherwise, my bastard grandson wouldn't be so infatuated with her. Now that I've met her, I'm not disappointed. Although she's not very beautiful, she gives off a comfortable and cultured vibe. It's a pity. The old man paused and sighed slightly. What's a pity? Mrs. Su was confused. It's a pity that she's not the right person for you. When we were eating, I observed you. The look in his eyes is different. I really hope that this child is our granddaughter-in-law and that she's pregnant with our grandson. Grandpa Su was old and wanted to see his grandson get married and have children, but Su hadn't been very helpful. Dad. Actually, I want to ask, if her lover really can't come back, and really dies, in a year or so, what if she's willing to accept you? Will you accept her then? Really? Grandpa Su was surprised. Chapter 1669. As far as I know, this girl's lover disappeared in an accident. I think it was a plane crash, and the chances of him surviving are very slim. But she still has a glimmer of hope. She's only 24 years old this year and will only be 27 in 3 years. When that time comes, if you continues to be so good to her and she's touched, can you accept her as our granddaughter-in-law? Don't you mind her marriage history and the fact that she has a baby? Master Lord Su was silent for a while before saying seriously, as long as you likes her, it's fine. Dad. Mrs. Su didn't expect the old man to say this and was really touched. When you pointed a gun at his head and threatened me, I knew what this girl meant to him. So, as long as you is happy, I won't object. Dad, you're so good to you. I only have one bastard grandson. Speaking of Su, Lord Su's face was filled with happiness. Dad, what about his dad? Mrs. Su was quite worried about her father's mood. Leave it to me. Thank you, Dad. Mrs. Su smiled and finally left with a sigh of relief. On the first night Huamin came to the Su family, she couldn't sleep. This was a completely unfamiliar environment. Her room was very big, at least 80 square meters. It used to be Su Yu's room, however, it was said that after Su Yu's renovation, the walls were changed to light pink, and the curtains and decorations were also colors that girls liked. Everything that needed to be prepared was prepared, and there was nothing missing. However, looking at this unfamiliar environment in bed, Huamin suddenly lost all her sleepiness. She got up and walked to the window, pulled open the curtains, and looked at the night outside. It was a good place to see the night view of the entire city, because the location was too good. There had been no news of Qin Chu. If Qin Chu was still alive in that disaster, why didn't he come to find her? Or, was he really dead? Or did he lose his memory? As soon as this thought popped up, even she found it laughable. Huamin was a doctor and had a deep understanding of brain surgery. She knew that people weren't as mysterious as they were portrayed on TV and in novels. How could he lose his memory just by casually bumping into her? Therefore, the possibility of this happening was almost non-existent, but why didn't Qin Chu come to her? She really hoped that he would come back soon. After such a long wait, she was starting to lose confidence. He was really afraid that if things went on like this, he would start to despair. 6 o'clock in the morning. Huamin had just woken up when he received a video call. It was a call from Jixin. There was a 5-hour time difference between China and China. It should be 11 o'clock in the afternoon over there. Jixin. Huamin answered the phone in a daze. Mian, how are you? Yang Meirong's voice sounded. Huamin immediately woke up. Mom, it's you. I thought it was Jixin. Mian. I know. Know what? Huamin's heart immediately tightened. Jixin said that someone wants to harm you and Qin Chu, so Qin Chu went abroad to lie low. You're staying at a friend's house for the time being, right? Hearing this, Huamin felt a lot more relieved and nodded. Jixin is right, Mom. I didn't tell you before because I didn't want you to worry. Don't blame me, why would I? I know you don't want me to worry, but I'm still worried. You're pregnant, and I want to go back to take care of you, but Jishin said that if we go back, we'll be captured and threatened by those bad people. Yes, Mom, so you can stay in New Zealand for now. After I take care of things here, I'll pick you up. Girl, how are you feeling recently? Are you vomiting? Chapter 1670. I'm fine. I vomit occasionally, but it's not that serious. It's a normal pregnancy reaction. Then you have to be careful. If you feel anything wrong, go to the hospital immediately. It's hard to take care of twins. Mom. I'm a doctor. I've interned in the OB/GYN department for so long and have a lot of clinical experience. Don't worry. I'm still worried. After all, we're not by your side. It's not convenient for you to live at your friend's house. No, my friend's family is very good to me. Then, when will Chin Chu be back? Yang Meirong asked. He probably won't be long. He'll be back after he's done, Hua Min lied guiltily. Okay. I know how to dial now. I'll video call you often in the future. You have to tell me how you're doing. Otherwise, I'll be worried, okay? Hua Min nodded. After talking to her mother, her heart felt warm. Although she knew that she wasn't her biological mother, she had treated her like one all these years. Although there was such a big misunderstanding and resentment because of the Chin family, her mother was still the same after everything was resolved. She was lucky to be able to come to this family and have a mother like Jishin. Miss Hua, it's time for breakfast. Auntie Yu went upstairs and knocked on the door. Okay, I'll be right down. When Hua Min finished cleaning up and came out, she saw Auntie Yu waiting for her at the door. When she saw her walk out, she immediately helped her up. Go downstairs slowly and be careful of the steps. Thank you, Auntie Yu. You're welcome. I've been in the Su family for many years and watched young master grow up. You're his friend. We definitely treat you like family. Madam said that Miss Hua is smart. Everyone likes you. Auntie Su thinks too highly of me. Hua Min smiled. Auntie Yu also liked this girl. After understanding Hua Min's difficulties, she felt pity for her. She knew that her husband was in trouble and that someone wanted to harm her with twins in her belly. It was really, really hard, but even so, she still smiled and faced it every day. After breakfast, they took a walk in the Su family's huge garden. Hua Min took out her phone and dialed a number. Hua Min. Rick, are you busy? I'm not busy. Go ahead. Do you know the whereabouts of Chin Chu? Rick was silent for a while. Not yet. Then, have you contacted the Chin family? My in-laws, uncles, and Ningning? Not yet. My brother is still investigating. Rick's tone was apologetic. Oh, that's good. Let me know when you have news. All right. Then I'll hang up first. Wait. Hua Min. Hua Min was just about to hang up when he heard that Rick had something to say, so he immediately put the phone back to his ear. Rick, you said, Hua Min, I know about your background. Chin Chu told me about your true family. Before Rick could finish, Hua Min interrupted, thank you, but I still want to hear everything from Chin Chu himself. Upon hearing this, Rick's heart ached. He didn't dare to ask Hua Min what he would do if Chin Chu really died and couldn't come back. Because he knew that would be the cruelest torture for Hua Min. At the headquarters of the Hua Corporation, any news? Not yet. Hua Xiqian's face immediately fell. Boss, do you think Chin Chu is really dead? His body might have been swept to the bottom of the sea by the undercurrents or eaten by sharks. After all, the sea is so deep that it's hard to salvage it. I don't believe that he's dead. Keep investigating. Ever since the plane crashed and Chin-Chu's whereabouts were unknown, Hua Xiqian felt uneasy. He had a feeling that Chin-Chu wasn't dead and was just hiding in the dark. In the past, he was always in the dark while the enemy was in the light. Now that it was the other way around, he didn't feel good. Any news from Lu Yan? Hua Xiqian asked again. Chapter 1671. There's no movement over there, where's Lu Yan? Hua Xiqian asked again. We didn't find her. Boss, you should know that her whereabouts have been a mystery all these years. Even Master Ian couldn't find her, let alone us. Okay, I got it. You can leave now. After his subordinate left, Hua Xiqian pressed his temples with one hand and began to feel uneasy. Ever since he found out that Chin-Chu's whereabouts were unknown, he had been especially anxious. What a perfect explosion he had planned. The plane crashed in the dark of the night. There were so many people on the plane, and the people he sent were all burned to a crisp. But the strange thing was that Chin-Chu was gone. He had always been cautious. Without seeing the body and confirming the DNA of the body, he wouldn't believe that Chin-Chu was dead. Therefore, in this situation, Hua Xiqian and Hua Min were the only ones who believed that Chin-Chu was still alive. As for the others, they had lost all hope and were in despair. Including Chin-Chu's good brother, Rick, and Gao Ran, they had all tacitly agreed that Chin-Chu was dead. He deliberately planned Song Yishi's death, step by step. He set up Chin-Chu and Hua Min. It was so perfect, but in the end, the result was not what he wanted. Chin-Chu's whereabouts were unknown, and he was unsure. Hua Min was forcefully protected by Su Yu and isolated from the world. Before, he could still occasionally see some videos in the military, but now that Hua Min moved to the Su family, he couldn't even see his shadow. He didn't dare to try to break the Su family's defense, nor did he dare to provoke them. Because Su Yu's grandfather's identity was too powerful, he was someone who could affect the entire country. Hua Xiqian had always thought that he was the smartest person in the world and that everything he did was perfect. But now, he realized that he hadn't achieved anything. He couldn't even get his hands on a Hua Min. At this moment, his phone rang. It was a string of messy numbers. He took a deep breath and picked up the phone. Hua, long time no see. Master Ian, long time no see. I thought I'd see you last time, but Lu Yan ran away. It's not easy to catch Lu Yan. Otherwise, Mr. Ian, you wouldn't have been able to catch her after so many years. Hee hee. That's why I've always been interested in her. You know, I've never been interested in women, but she's different. Didn't Mr. Ian capture Lu Yan to threaten Professor Lu? That's one of the reasons. But, there's another reason. I plan to marry Lu Yan. Get married? You sure have weird tastes. Ha! Hua Xiqian chuckled. No, you don't understand. That girl is so cute. She's my little angel. Every time she carries out a mission, she's flawless. It was obvious that Ian admired Lu Yan. But as far as I know, in Russia, the third son of the Qiao family has been eyeing her covetously. Are you sure you'll be able to get her? Do you think someone like me would be afraid of a pretty boy? Ian said proudly. Okay. I hope you'll realize your dreams soon. So, can you tell me if you found the person I've been asking you to find? Ian suddenly changed the topic. Hua Xiqian's eyes flashed slightly, and then he replied, not yet. Chapter 1672. I don't think so. Hua, I trust you so much, and I know how powerful you are in the country. You can't possibly not find a girl in a few years. She's the key. If you catch her, then Professor Lu and Lu Yen will surrender. But I really can't find her. You know how big our country is. Just the population alone is more than 1 billion. How can I find her? I don't even know where she is. There are many places in our country that are very secluded. There's no cell signal or GPS. I can't search every inch of land, right? Wouldn't that be like looking for a needle in a haystack? Okay. But remember, if you have any news, let me know immediately. Of course. Okay, that's it then. Ian hung up the phone. Hua Xiqian let out a sigh of relief. Ian was a very, very scary person. He was temperamental and killed people as casually as eating. Moreover, his methods were extremely cruel. He was a famous murderer in Europe, America, and even internationally. His subordinates were all psychopaths, even someone like Lu Yen had been avoiding him. Hua Xiqian didn't know how much of his words Ian believed. However, he had to say it because if Hua Mian really fell into Ian's hands, she would suffer a fate worse than death. What he wanted was for Hua Min to be by his side and give her happiness. He didn't want to send her to the gates of hell. At the Su family mansion, Mrs. Su and Auntie Yu were in the kitchen making sweet soup. Hua Min and Lord Su were playing chess in the living room. Lord Su loved to play chess. In the past, he only played with Su Yu, but Su Yu was often not home. So, the old man would set up the chessboard and play by himself. Hua Min was good at chess, so when he saw Lord Su playing with himself, he ran over to join in the fun. After one round, Lord Su was very happy. He felt like he had met his match and dragged Hua Min to continue playing. Lord Su. You lost again, Aya. You're amazing. You're even better than that brat Su Yu. Lord Su had high praise for Hua Min. Hua Min had never learned chess, nor had she studied it deeply. She only played it with Jixin when she was young. Later, when she met older patients at Southside Recuperation Center, she would play a few rounds with them to coax them into taking their medicine. Even now, he was still very good at it. This might be his talent. Ha! Who's talking behind my back? Su Yu overheard Grandpa Su and Hua Mian's conversation when he walked in. Old's right. Well, if you play chess with Hua Min, SSS, I'm, you, Ute. Hearing his grandpa's words, Su Yu became even more interested. Are you serious? Grandpa, you're not bragging, are you? Su Yu was confused. Why don't you try it yourself? Lord Su waved his hand. Su Yu handed the fruit in his hand to Aunt Yu. Put it in the fridge for Hua Min. Got it, young master. Aunt Yu smiled and took the fruit. Su Yu took off his jacket and walked over, unconvinced. Lord Su gave up his seat. Come, sit down. I'll watch the two of you play as a spectator. There's a bet, right? Su Yu rolled up his sleeves and smiled. Whoever loses will call the other party master. What do you think? Lord Su suggested. Grandpa, what kind of idea is this? Su Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What? You're not confident. Are you afraid of losing? Lord Su was in a good mood and patted his grandson's shoulder. Chapter 1673. How is that possible? I'm a chess genius. After Su Yu said proudly, he sat across from Hua Min and began to set up the chessboard. Don't cry if you lose. Su Yu reminded Hua Min with a smile. Thank you for the reminder. I hope it's effective on you as well. Tisk. Su Yu couldn't win against Hua Min. So, he quickly set up the chessboard, then, he sat down in an inviting posture. You first, ladies first. Are you sure you won't say that I won because I made the first move? Of course not. If you make the first move, it won't affect the overall situation. Suyu was still full of confidence. Okay, then I won't stand on ceremony. Huamin smiled as he picked up a chess piece and began to move. Suyu also began to observe carefully before making the next move. No, you can't do this. Lord Su seemed to be anxious. Suyu turned around unhappily. Grandpa. A true gentleman doesn't speak when watching chess. Lord Su, Huamin looked at the grandfather and grandson pair and couldn't help but laugh. 20 minutes later, Suyu looked awkward, and remained silent. Hurry up and admit defeat. It's a dead move. You didn't listen to me, Lord Su mumbled like a child. Huamin looked at Suyu and smiled, ahem. Master. I admit defeat. Suyu cupped his hands. Thank you for letting me win, Huamin replied humbly. Ha! Girl, your chess skills are too good. Next time, I'll take you to the military and play with my old comrades so that they won't always show off to me. Lord Su, you flatter me. I can only play at home. I can't play in public. Huamin quickly waved his hand. At this moment, Mrs. Su and Auntie Yu walked out of the kitchen. She brought 3 bowls of soup over and placed them on the coffee table. Dad, drink this mung bean. It'll clear away the heat, and it's not sweet. Okay. The old man took it and sipped it. Mian, here's your 8 treasure lotus seed, thank you, Auntie Su. Huamin was very grateful. Ever since he came to the Su family, he had 3 meals a day with fruits and desserts. Auntie Su really put in a lot of effort to change it into something else. Son, this is for you. Rose tea, Mom, do I still need to drink flower tea to maintain my beauty? I'm already very handsome. Suyu said proudly. Son, can't you be more shameless? Mrs. Su retorted. Huamin almost spat out the soup in his mouth. Did he have to be so funny? She originally thought that the atmosphere in the Su family would be very gloomy. After all, they were a family of high-ranking officials, so they should be strict. In the end, she discovered that it was really warm and cozy. Suyu had a high status in the family, and he got along well with his grandparents and mother. After eating the sweet soup, it was already 8:30 p.m. Huamin was a little sleepy, so he got up and said, Master Lord Su, Auntie Su, I'm going upstairs to rest. Okay, go ahead and sleep early, Mrs. Su said. We'll continue playing chess tomorrow night, girl. Lord Su still wanted to continue. Okay. Huamin smiled. I'll walk you upstairs. Suyu didn't even finish his soup before he got up and followed Huamin upstairs. What do you think my silly son should do? Mrs. Su didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but she also felt bad for her son. Let him be. Lord Su was more open-minded, as long as his grandson was happy. Have you been vomiting recently? Suyu asked. I'm much better. I looked it up on the internet. It said that eating some alkaline biscuits will make you feel better, so I bought a lot today. They're all in the fridge, remember to eat them. Okay. What do you want to eat? Remember to tell me, I'll buy it. Okay. Then, go to bed early, I'm leaving. Okay. Huamin opened the door and entered the house, but Suyu was still standing at the door reluctantly. He watched Huamin go in for a long time before he turned around and left. Huamin knew how Suyu felt about her, so she pretended to be cold and didn't want to say too much to him. No matter what he said, she would only give simple answers, afraid that Suyu would fall deeper and deeper. She didn't want to give Suyu a chance or any hope, even if Chin Chu died. Just then, Huamin's phone rang. Hello. Huamin, it's Cece. Cece, what is it? Huamin, I need your help with something. Cece's tone was strange, as if there was something urgent. Chapter 1674. You mean? Cece. Can you come see Rick and talk to him? Cece's voice was filled with concern. What's wrong with Rick? Huamin froze slightly. Ever since Mr. Chin's accident, Rick's been worried sick. He thinks he caused Mr. Chin's death, so he's pushing all the blame onto himself. He's been acting weird lately, no matter if we're eating or watching movies together. He's always been a cold person, and he rarely smiles. Now, he's even more so. The entire seductive fox is cold, and everyone's afraid of him. Although he never gets mad at me, I don't like Rick like this. I know he's sad that something happened to his best friend, but I don't know how to help him. Huamin, you're so smart, you'll find a way to help him. I know this request is a little selfish, because you're the one who's the saddest about Chin Chu's accident. But I really don't know what else to do. Huamin completely understood what Cece was trying to say. After Chin Chu's accident, Rick was also deeply affected, because he always thought he was the cause. It seemed like she really had to talk to Rick. Cece, when do you think it's convenient for me to come over? Can I come now? But it's very late. Can you come out? Will you be in danger? Cece had heard from Rick that Huamin was in a difficult situation, so she was a little hesitant. Good. It's not too late. I'll go to Seductive Fox to find Rick. Wait for me. Then, Huamin hung up the phone, put on a black cashmere coat, and went downstairs. Auntie, I need to go out for a while. Mian, it's so late, where are you going? Mrs. Su immediately asked with concern. I have a friend who wants to talk to me about something. You're going out alone? Mrs. Su panicked. Yeah. Huamin nodded slightly. That won't do. You said that you can't go out alone. Don't overthink it, I'm not monitoring you. It's just that you're in a dangerous situation with so many pairs of eyes watching you. If something happens to you, how am I going to explain it to you, this? Huamin could understand why the Su family was so protective of her. How about this? I'll call you and ask him to pick you up and drive you there. Don't. How about I bring 2 bodyguards with me? Huamin suggested. No. How about this, I'll ask Dad, and see what he has to say. Huamin's mother went upstairs to Master Lord Su's study. After careful consideration, Master Lord Su personally selected 4 elites to accompany Huamin. One of them drove while the other 3 sat in the back. In order to attract attention, the Su family only gave Huamin a black Audi A6. Because of this, Huamin was finally allowed to leave. 30 minutes later, the car slowly came to a stop at Seductive Fox. The 4 bodyguards carefully escorted Huamin upstairs. Miss Hua. Rick's assistant was very familiar with her. Where's Rick? Boss is in his office. Huamin looked at his watch. It was almost 10 p.m., but Rick was still in his office. He was indeed in a bad mood. Where's Cece? Miss Cece is in there with boss. Okay. You guys wait for me here, I'm going to meet a friend alone. Huamin turned around and said to the bodyguards behind him. Miss Hua, but boss said that you have to stay close to him. The bodyguards were in a difficult position. It's really fine. I need to talk to him alone. It's really inconvenient for you guys to be here, but it'll be fine, okay then. We'll wait for you at the door. Huamin nodded, knocked on the door, and walked in. Huamin. Why are you here? Rick was quite surprised to see Hwamin. Chapter 1675. I asked Mian to come. Cece jogged over and held on to Hwamin's hand. Rick looked at the two of them in confusion. Cece said to Hwamin in a low voice, "Please, don't worry." Hwamin nodded. "Rick, I'm going back to school now. See you tomorrow, talk to you guys." Then, Cece turned around, opened the door, and ran out. Rick was used to her impulsive personality. Then, he looked at Hwamin. "Sit down, okay." Rick stood up and was about to make Hwamin a cup of tea when he suddenly remembered that pregnant women needed to be careful. So, he handed over a cup of water. "Rick. I'm here today for no other reason than to talk to you." "Talk about what?" Rick was still as cold as ever. "Let's talk about Chin Chu." Rick's eyes dimmed when he heard the name, Chin Chu. It was obvious that he cared a lot about this matter. "Okay, go ahead." Rick seemed to know why Hwamin was here, and why Cece asked Hwamin to come. "Rick, you feel a lot of pressure and burden because of Chin Chu's plane crash, right?" "Yeah." Rick nodded slowly. "Do you think it's because of you that this happened?" "Yes." "Have you ever thought about it? That was Hwasichyan's scheme. Even if the plane crash didn't happen, something else would have happened. He wouldn't have let Mr. Chin off that easily, and the plane crash was an opportunity. Even if you didn't send him off, if it was someone else, something would still happen. But I personally sent him to the plane," Rick said sadly. "Then let me ask you, who told you to do this? Was it me?" Rick looked up at Hwamin in shock, but he didn't say anything. "So, if you feel guilty, then I feel guilty too. Before I went to prison, I told you to stop Chin Chu from getting revenge on Hwasichyan and send him to the States. So, if I continue to pursue this matter, then wouldn't I be the one who killed Mr. Chin?" Hwamin's words left Rick speechless. He knew that Hwamin had a high EQ and a sharp tongue. "Also, you need to know something important." "What is it?" Rick looked at Hwamin. "I don't think Mr. Chin is dead. I think he's still alive." Then, Hwamin continued to look at Rick. "I know what you mean. You think the chances of survival from the plane crash are low, but it's not absolute. So, I believe that Mr. Chin's chances of survival are very low. We haven't heard from him for a long time, which is actually good news. I believe he has his own way of doing things. So, if he's fine, and you're unable to extricate yourself from the guilt of your friends' deaths, then the people around you won't feel good either. Not only Cece, but I also feel bad. I think it's because of my advice that you're burdened by it." "Hwamin, don't say that. Chin Chu was my good friend. It's what I should do. Since you're good friends, then you should know that Chin Chu doesn't want to see you like this. Mr. Chin is an extremely strong and calm person. I don't want your life to change because of this. To put it more tragically, even if Chin Chu is really dead, it's useless for you to be so sad, right? Do you think I'll just wash my face with tears every day without caring about my children, my life, and my family?" "You have a point." Rick understood Hwamin's words and immediately felt ashamed. "So, I hope you'll get better. Don't make Cece worry, she loves you very much." Hwamin's straightforward words made Rick's face redden slightly. "I understand, thank you, Hwamin." "Don't thank me, thank you for Cece," Hwamin said as he stood up slightly. "That's it then, I'll go back now. It's too late, the Su family will be worried about me. They treat me like family." Then, Hwamin walked out. "Hwamin, don't you want to know where your family is?" Rick couldn't help but ask. Chapter 1676. Min stopped in her tracks but didn't look back. I told you, I'll wait for Chin Chu to come back and tell me personally. After that, Min walked out. Rick suddenly felt that Min was the most powerful woman he had ever met in the world. When everyone thought that Chin Chu was dead, she was the only one who believed that he was still alive. What kind of love was this? Chin Chu, did you hear that? You have to come back. You have to come back safely, or else. What's going to happen to Min? Rick had never been a pessimistic person, he just felt that Min must be in a lot of pain after losing Chin Chu. When Min walked out, she gave Cece a call. Hey, Cece. I'm out. How was it? Min, how's Rick doing? Cece asked impatiently. I said a lot. I believe that Rick has come to his senses. I don't think he'll continue to be depressed like this. Really? That's great, thank you, Min. Cece couldn't suppress the excitement in her voice. You're welcome. I'm very happy to be able to help you guys. Min, you're the best. Moi, when you're free, I'll treat you to a big meal, hee hee. Okay. Min smiled slightly and hung up the phone. Cece was a very naive girl. She was the youngest of the people around her and was still in college. She wasn't as mature as Zhu Lingling, nor was she as wise and calm as Jiang Xiaowei. However, she had her own unique personality. She liked girls like Cece a lot. She felt that Cece's youthful aura infected everyone around her. When she thought about what Rick said, Min's smile disappeared. She should have known about her background more than a month ago. At that time, Mr. Qin was threatened by Hua Xiqian to divorce her. The couple reconciled and chatted in the wine cellar of South Hill Manor. Just as Mr. Qin was about to tell her the truth, he received a call from Song Yisher. At that time, Min didn't think too much about it. He only thought that when he came back, he would be able to know the whereabouts of his family. That was such a happy thing, but who would have thought that from that day onwards, their lives would change drastically. The only 2 times she had met Mr. Qin were during the trial. She really regretted not giving Mr. Qin a proper hug before the accident. Now that she thought about it, she really was stupid. She really missed Mr. Qin's familiar scent, and there was his doting smile on his face. Min was immersed in his memories of Mr. Qin when suddenly, with a loud bang, his body violently slammed forward. Oh no, someone hit us from behind. The bodyguard's expression changed slightly. The car was driving normally on the outer ring road and there were no cars following them. Suddenly, at a fork in the road, a Toyota Prado came out of nowhere and directly rear-ended them. The car didn't seem to have any intention of stopping. It was as if it wanted to squeeze their car downhill. Luckily, the driver was an experienced elite. At the critical moment, he turned the steering wheel and made a sharp turn. Then, with a bang, a gunshot rang out. Oh no, we've been ambushed. Hurry up and protect Miss Hua. The bodyguard in the lead yelled. Then, he pressed Min's head down. Min didn't have time to react. He could only hear bullets raining down on him. Siyu was analyzing the company's data in his mansion when his phone rang. Boss, something bad happened to Miss Hua, and said anxiously. What did you say? Siyu stood up immediately, his expression dark. Chapter 1677. Miss Hua was escorted to Seductive Fox by the commander's men today, but she was attacked on her way back. Where is she? Suyu's heart was about to jump out of his chest. Luckily, the commander's men were very strong and defeated the enemy. Can't you say it all in one breath? Damn, you scared me. Suyu immediately let out a sigh of relief. But Miss Hua was injured in the gunfight, and added. Suyu's brain buzzed again. Can't you say it all in one breath? Are you trying to kill me? Suyu thought that if his heart wasn't good, he would have died by now. These few pieces of news were like a roller coaster ride, driving him crazy. Where is Hwamin right now? He's already been sent to the military hospital. Suyu immediately hung up the phone. He didn't even have time to put on his jacket before he pushed open the door and left. He drove his Lamborghini at a high speed. It took him less than 10 minutes to drive such a long distance. It was obvious how fast he drove. Outside the military hospital, when Suyu walked in, he saw his mother talking to the doctor at the door. "Mom, how's Hwamin?" Suyu was panting heavily. It was obvious that he ran all the way in and didn't even have time to rest. "He's fine now, his calf was just grazed by a bullet. It's just a superficial wound." "Where's the baby?" "The baby's fine." That's good, that's good." Suyu finally let out a sigh of relief when he heard this. "Go in and see her." After Mrs. Su finished speaking, Suyu pushed open the door and walked in. To his surprise, he saw his grandfather here as well. "You little brat, you're here." Lord Su turned around. "Grandpa, aren't the bodyguards you sent a bit too weak? How could 4 of them get injured?" Suyu complained. Hwamin immediately explained, "It's not Lord Su's fault. Don't blame him." "Shut up. I'll deal with you later." Suyu glared at Hwamin. He was really angry. Hwamin was so frightened that he immediately shut his mouth obediently, not daring to say another word. She had rarely seen Suyu so frightening. "Brat, you still have the nerve to say this. If your bodyguards went this time, they would probably be wiped out. Do you know what kind of firepower they have?" "What kind of firepower?" Suyu was especially curious after hearing his grandfather's words. 5 off-road vehicles, a total of 20 people, all armed with guns, agile and well-trained. It can be said that. I'll skip 10,000 words here, you can imagine the scene yourself. After Lord Su finished speaking, Suyu was about to go crazy. If someone else had said this, he might not have believed it. However, his grandfather was the leader of the army. His words were like nails, and he definitely wouldn't be an alarmist. "Are you dumbfounded?" Seeing that his grandson didn't speak, Lord Su continued to ask. How is that possible? That kind of firepower." Suyu didn't dare to imagine what kind of scene it was. His grandfather only had 4 people, and they had to protect Hwamin while facing 20 people. This is simply unconscionable. "Hwamin, what Grandpa said is true, right?" Suyu glanced at Hwamin again. Hwamin nodded. "It's true. I was really scared at that time. Luckily, the people that Lord Su sent to protect me were very strong. We quickly broke out of the encirclement and escaped danger. However, 2 of them were shot. I feel very guilty. If I didn't stubbornly insist on going out to look for Rick, this wouldn't have happened. I want to apologize to Lord Su and those big brothers." After hearing what Hwamin said, there was no doubt that it was true. Chapter 1678. Lord Su waved his hand. "It's not your fault. I didn't think that someone would dare to attack you so openly. It's my fault. If I had known, I would have tightened the defense. The 2 bodyguards are fine. They're both from the special forces and have great physical fitness. They weren't shot in the vital areas and will recover soon. Don't feel burdened. You, on the other hand, can't be anesthetized even though you're injured. You're quite capable, girl." When Lord Su came in to check on Hwamin, the military doctor was applying medicine to her wound. Since she couldn't be anesthetized during pregnancy, it was especially difficult to treat her wound. Hwamin gritted her teeth and didn't frown at all. She insisted on cleaning her wound and changing the medicine. Lord Su truly admired this child's strength. Where's the wound? Let me see. Suyu walked over and carefully lifted the blanket. Huamin's calf was wrapped in bandages and looked quite scary. I'm fine, don't worry. You keep saying that you're fine, but what happened in the end? Suyu began to scold her. Lord Su saw the opportunity and stood up to leave. He wanted to give the two of them some space to talk. Suyu stared at Huamin. After a while, his face was filled with anger. Look at you, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I won't do it again. I shouldn't have acted on my own. I thought that I would be fine if I went out so late. I did have to deal with some difficult matters on Rick's side, but I neglected the fact that the person who wanted to attack me was so impatient. I made you, Auntie Sue, and Lord Su worry. I'm sorry. Before Suyu could speak, Huamin opened her mouth and said a bunch of things. Suyu was speechless. You're asking for a beating. I'm pregnant now. You can't hit me. Huamin laughed. You still have the face to laugh. I really want to strangle you. You scared me so much that my soul almost flew away. Thinking of his appearance just now, Suyu was really angry to the point that his teeth itched. Isn't everything fine now? So, don't worry. Hua Xichen, that bastard must be tired of living. Instead of living a good life, he has to go against me. Suyu finally remembered that Hua Xichen was the instigator of this incident, so he scolded Hua Xichen. Huamin shook his head. This time, it's not Hua Xichen. Not him. Who else could it be? Suyu was slightly startled. Although Hua Xichen's methods are despicable, he won't kill me. He could only kidnap me halfway. But this group of people wants me dead. So, the mastermind behind this incident is Song Qinghua. Suyu directly mentioned Mayor Song's name. Yeah, it should be him. I underestimated him. Huamin said faintly. If it's him, then I can only say that he ate the guts of a leopard. The Su family wants to protect people, but he wants to kill them. He's openly going against the Su family. I'm pissed. Don't think that he's some mayor. Even if he's a governor, I wouldn't care about him. Suyu, calm down. Don't do anything rash, it's okay. I have my ways to deal with these self-righteous big shots. At the same time, inside the Song family mansion, what a bunch of trash. All trash. Mayor Song was furious. It wasn't easy for him to find an opportunity to make a move. So many people went, including the so-called elites, but they didn't manage to kill Huamin. Instead, they were all killed. The corpses were all secretly disposed of by Commander Su's men, leaving no chance for the news to leak. Chapter 1679. Mayor, you can't blame them. They really gave it their all. We were completely wiped out this time. The Su family only sent 4 people, but they are all very powerful. I heard that only 2 of them were shot. As for the woman, she was only lightly injured. I don't want her to be lightly injured, I want her to die. Mayor Song said viciously. Mr. Mayor, this isn't our fault. The Su family is too powerful. I think we should let it go for now. The Su family can't protect her forever. We can wait until she leaves before we make a move. I can't wait that long. I heard that she's pregnant, I can't let her give birth to the baby. The devil who killed my daughter doesn't have the right to be arrogant in this world. Mayor Song hated Huamin to the core. He wanted Huamin to die immediately, however, things didn't always go according to plan. He was very angry that they didn't succeed despite all their preparations. The Hua family mansion. When Hua Xichen heard the news, his face turned gloomy. After 5 seconds of silence, he kicked the mahogany desk in front of him over. With a loud bang, his subordinates were so scared that they didn't dare to make a sound. Song Qinghua, that old fox. I think he's tired of living. He wants to be with his dead daughter. Boss, Song Qinghua really wants to kill Miss Hua. But the Su family is really powerful, they were able to break through under such heavy firepower. When we arrived, they had already left, of course. Do you think the Su family is easy to deal with? Hua Xiqian glared at his subordinates. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. How's Mian now? She's only lightly injured. She's at the military hospital. The hospital is under lockdown. No one is allowed to enter or leave. I think the Su family is really nervous this time. Okay, I got it. Boss, are we going to do something to Song Qinghua? You don't have to, I have my own plans. Hua Xiqian's face darkened as he sent his subordinates away. He took out his phone and looked at Hua Min's old photos, feeling slightly distressed. Now that Mian was pregnant, she couldn't take any hormones. Even a light injury would hurt a lot, right? At the entrance of a university dormitory in C City, Cici was about to fall asleep when she received a call from Rick saying that he was downstairs. She immediately put on her clothes and ran down. Then, she ran straight into Rick's arms like a little bird. Rick lowered his head and asked coldly, "Were you the one who called Hua Min to come to Seductive Fox?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I saw that you were depressed, so I wanted her to comfort you. You know, Hua Min has a high IQ and EQ. What she says always makes sense. Everyone likes her. Is there any other reason?" Rick's face remained cold. "No." "What's wrong?" Cici was confused. Hua Min was ambushed and almost killed on his way back. What? Cici's eyes widened as she looked at Rick in disbelief. "Don't you know?" "How would I know?" "Rick, what do you mean by that?" "It's obvious. After Hua Min moved into the Su family, everything was fine. Her friends would visit her regularly, or she would ask Su Yu to take her out. But you picked a time when Su Yu wasn't home, and it was late at night, so you asked Hua Min to come out. You were afraid that they would be on guard on the way here, so you didn't do anything. When they went back, they were more relaxed, so you started your plan. You were in charge of pretending to be stupid and tricking Hua Min into coming out, right?" "Rick. You think of me that way?" Tears glistened in Cici's eyes. His heart turned cold in an instant. Chapter 1680. Isn't it? Don't tell me you had nothing to do with it. That's too much of a coincidence. Hua Min was attacked as soon as she came out. Did you know that she almost died? Qin Chu was already in trouble because of me. If something happened to Hua Min because of me, I'm afraid I'd rather die than live. Hua Min is pregnant. Nielingxi, do you have a conscience? After a long silence, Cici looked up at Rick with tears on her face. If I said it wasn't me, would you believe me? Why should I believe you? Why can't you be the one who lied to me and almost killed my friend? Maybe Rick was too worried about Hua Min's safety, so he said those harsh words to Cici. Although he didn't mean to say those words, fine. If you say so, then it's what you think. Whatever you think is the truth, okay? So, you really did it. Rick thought that Cici betrayed Hua Min's whereabouts. If you say so, then so be it. Cici also threw a tantrum and argued with Rick. As soon as she finished speaking, Rick raised his hand and pointed a black gun at Cici's head. Cici looked at Rick in shock and then closed her eyes, heartbroken. "Shoot me, boss, you can't kill Miss Cici. We're still investigating and we don't know the truth yet." Rick's subordinates couldn't stand it anymore and kept trying to persuade him. The two of them stared at each other for about 10 seconds. Rick put down the gun. "Go, I won't kill you, but don't do it again, and don't let me see you again." After saying that, Rick turned around and left. That black overcoat was particularly dazzling in the night. "Rick, you bastard, I hate you. I don't ever want to see you again." Cece was crying behind him. Cece's loud cries came from behind him, and Rick's heart started to ache, but he didn't look back. Instead, he got into his Ferrari and left the campus. Cece stood there for a long time. She watched Rick leave. He had just said that she had betrayed Huamin, but he did not believe her. He even pointed a gun at her head and threatened to kill her. He even said that he never wanted to see her again. Cece felt as if her heart had been broken into pieces. After dating Rick for so long, she knew that he was cold and aloof, so she took the initiative to be enthusiastic. In order to maintain the interaction between the two, Rick would occasionally do some childish things. For example, he accompanied her to watch a movie and booked the entire theater to watch it. It was cold and cheerless. He even chose a particularly boring cartoon called Pleasant Goat and Big Big Wolf. Cece laughed so hard that her stomach hurt, but those were not her cup of tea. Her cup of tea was the new version of Big Head Son Little Head Father. Cece cried even harder at the thought of the sweetness of the past. However, she suddenly thought of an important point. Rick said that Huamin was almost shot to death. So how is she now? Now that things had come to this, she couldn't ask Rick anymore. Cece cried as she took out her phone and called Huamin, but she found that her phone was turned off. At the hospital, Suyu, give me back my phone. No way, go to sleep. Suyu forcibly confiscated Huamin's phone and turned it off. You're so unreasonable, I'm going to tell Lord Su. I won't let you see Grandpa again today, Mrs. Su, help. Suyu is bullying me, Huamin cleverly shouted at the door. Chapter 1681. It's no use calling me Mom. She's on the side of reason. You can ask her to be the judge and see what's wrong with a patient playing with her phone instead of sleeping, Siyut said confidently. Just then, Mrs. Su opened the door and walked in. Mion, are you talking to me? Auntie Su. It's nothing. I'm just playing with Suyu. Huamin smiled awkwardly. She didn't really want to tell on him. She just wanted to threaten Suyu, but she didn't manage to do so. You too. How old are you? You still think you're kids. You, don't bully Mion. I didn't bully her. Suyu was still arrogant. Then, Mrs. Su walked out of the room and continued to discuss Huamin's habits with the doctor and what to watch out for. Suyu. I'm not playing with my phone. I want to call Rick. Why are you calling him? I'll tell him what you want to tell him. I just want to tell him not to suspect Cece. I was ambushed for no reason today. Rick will definitely suspect that Cece tricked me out, then how do you know she didn't do it on purpose? Suyu looked at Huamin curiously. Cece and Rick have known each other for a long time. Rick is a cautious person. He would have investigated Cece's background. They've known each other for so long. If there was something wrong, he would have noticed it a long time ago. Plus, if Cece is really a mole and sold out my schedule to Mayor Song, then, we can suspect that Mayor Song arranged for her to be by Rick's side. But when they met, Song Yisher wasn't dead and she wasn't married to Hua Xiqin. What's the point of Mayor Song doing this? Suyu nodded. That makes sense. But she could also be Hua Xiqin's woman. Huamin was so angry that he laughed. Are you stupid? If she was one of Hua Xiqin's people, would she dare to lure those assassins over to kill me? Even though Hua Xiqin wants to kill me, I don't think he wants me to die. If Cece was one of his people and dared to do this, she would have been chopped into pieces by Hua Xiqin. Yes, that's right, that's the logic. Suyu couldn't help but admire Huamin. Then, do you mean that the girl named Cece was used by someone? Suyu asked again. Huamin nodded. Of course. Cece is very innocent. She definitely didn't think too much about it when she came to me. I suspect that Song Qinghua must have arranged for his men to be near your house. Once they discover my whereabouts, they will immediately take action. And Cece is just a scapegoat. She doesn't know anything. That's very likely, but that old bastard Song Qinghua, he's bold enough to place his men around my house. Starting tomorrow, I'll start clearing out the area within 5 kilometers of my house. I'll make sure that not even a blade of grass grows. Let's see which bastard dares to hurt you. Suyu was really anxious tonight. If anything happened to Huamin, he would have even dared to break into Song Qinghua's country, put a gun to his head, and shoot him to death. Anyway, this time, it's all thanks to Lord Su's men. If it weren't for them, I would have been dead. I won't be so stubborn in the future. I'm really sorry, Suyu. Actually, if you scolded me, I would have felt worse, Huamin apologized again. Chapter 1682. Huamin, you don't have to apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. You had your reasons. Rick feels guilty about what happened to Qin Chu. He's been depressed and can't get over it. It's normal for you to talk to him. Plus, it's better to talk to him face to face than over the phone. With Rick's identity, he can't come to our house to see you. If the military finds out that my family is related to him, my grandpa will be investigated. So, it's not your fault, it's just that those people are too crazy. After calming down, Suyu didn't blame Huamin. Huamin was a person with a sense of propriety, and this time, he had his reasons. That's not right, I should have asked you to come with me, Huamin blamed himself. If you asked me, we might have all been killed. My bodyguards aren't as strong as my grandpa's, Suyu said with a smile. Huamin smiled as well. He knew that Suyu was just comforting him. Thank you for understanding me. Huamin felt warmth in his heart when he saw how much Suyu understood him. Don't praise me. I can't give you the phone, just go to sleep. I'll call Rick and explain things to him. Okay, you win. Seeing how determined Suyu was, Huamin smiled helplessly. Then, he lay down on the bed to rest. Rest well, we'll go back tomorrow morning. Suyu comforted Huamin. Okay. When he walked out of the room, Mrs. Su was still at the door. You should go first. Leave this to me, I'll take care of Mian. It's okay, Mom, you should go back and rest. I'll stay with her. Mrs. Su seemed hesitant. I'm too worried about what happened today, I'll be more at ease. You should go back. Okay then, take Mian home tomorrow morning, Grandpa is worried about her. I know. After Mrs. Su left, Suyu picked up Huamin's phone and called Rick. He repeated Huamin's analysis to Rick, that's what happened. Huamin was worried that you would misunderstand that girl, so he asked me to tell you. Okay, got it, Rick said, and the two of them hung up. Boss. Didn't we check it ourselves? This has nothing to do with Miss Cece. Song Qinghua has already placed spies outside the Su family mansion. Even if Miss Hua didn't come to see you today, she would have been ambushed if she met someone else. Miss Cece was just used by someone else. She must be very sad about what you did to her. Then be sad. Actually, it's good for Cece to leave me. Rick said faintly, Boss. I knew it wasn't her. I've known her for so long, how could I not see through her? It's just that I think it's too hard for Cece to be with me. I can't be with her most of the time, I can't do the things a normal boyfriend should do. I can't watch movies, go shopping, go to the amusement park, and drink coffee. I can't even do simple things like that. I have to be careful with everything I do, and most of the time, she's in my office at Seductive Fox. Last time, when she was taken away by Hua Xiqian, I thought that I would find a chance to break up with her. I don't want to drag her into this anymore. She's just an ordinary person, and I don't want to drag her into this. I don't want her to live a life of violence with me. That's it, it's good for both of us. After speaking, Rick turned around and walked away. His subordinates were sad to see their boss like this, but their boss was right. To put it bluntly, what if they had enemies in the future and made a move on Miss Cece? They wouldn't have a good ending. Inside the military hospital, after Huamin fell asleep, Siyu took out his laptop and sat on the sofa, working and watching over Huamin. There were 8 bodyguards on duty outside the door. Just then, Suyu's phone rang. Lord Su, what's going on? I heard that Huamin was shot. Wei Liao called. Chapter 1683. Emichim, oh my god, what's going on? Gao Ran just called my house and she was scared out of her wits. Tell your wife that Huamin is fine, it's just a scratch. I'll tell you the details when I see her. Alright then. It's really an eventful time. You should be careful too. Okay. After hanging up the call with Wei Liao, Siyu continued to work. By the time he was done, it was already 2 in the morning. He got up slightly, stretched, and walked towards Huamin's room. Looking at the sleeping Huamin, Siyu suddenly felt very happy. As long as he could quietly accompany Huamin, he would be satisfied. Sometimes, he even wished that Qin Chu would never appear again. That way, he would have a reason to stay by Huamin's side and take care of her. However, he also knew that Huamin loved Qin Chu very much. If Qin Chu didn't come back, then Huamin would be very sad. She probably wouldn't be truly happy for the rest of her life. Therefore, Siyu sincerely hoped that Qin Chu would come back. However, he also wished that time could slow down a little, just a little, so that he could spend more time with Huamin. Good night, my beloved girl, Siyu said gently as he looked at the sleeping Huamin. Then, he turned around and walked out, gently closing the door behind him. The next day at 6 in the morning, Siyu secretly brought Huamin back to the Su family and left the military hospital. In the future, there would be doctors coming to take care of Huamin's checkups. After this incident, the Su family decided not to let Huamin leave the house so easily. At noon, while Huamin was taking a nap, Mrs. Su quietly pulled her son to the side. What's the matter? Why are you being so mysterious? Huamin likes spicy food a lot. I asked the doctor and he said he's fine. So, I was wondering if there's a place that sells hot and sour noodles since you always go out to eat hot and sour noodles. Suyu was surprised. Yeah, Mion was watching TV this morning and I saw a girl eating hot and sour noodles. She looked like she really wanted to eat it. You can even tell. Suyu was speechless. Of course, I'm also a woman. When I was with you, I especially liked to eat some sour and spicy food. Anyway, can you buy it? This shouldn't be a problem. Then go quickly. Remember to buy it back tonight. Okay. After leaving home, Siyu went straight to GK. President Su, and walked into the office. Has the Hua Corporation been up to anything lately? Suyu asked. I heard that Ni Yang's agent, one of GK's artists, jumped ship to the Hua Corporation and took a lot of artists with her. Oh? Did she break up with Ni Yang? Yeah, that seems to be the case. As for Ni Yang, I still haven't heard anything about him terminating his contract. There's basically no one left in GK right now, and GK, which is under the control of the US headquarters, is like a pool of stagnant water. Ni Yang has so much potential that a lot of companies want to sign him, but he hasn't done anything yet. I think that's one of the reasons why he and his manager broke up, then it's probably because of Huamin. Ni Yang and Huamin are very close, Suyuk slowly analyzed. It's also possible, the whole corporation is in the limelight right now. Ingzi is a top agent and is very good at creating stars. I heard that the whole corporation is going to produce a Best Actor and a Best Actress this year. They're selecting from interns. Let him be. I really don't want to deal with people like Hua Xiqian. Then are we going to do something big? And asked. Chapter 1684. I don't need it. Go tell the others that we'll have a meeting in 5 minutes. Okay. 5 minutes later, Suyuk appeared in the meeting room in a white suit. All the executives were shocked. It seemed like President Su hadn't attended a meeting in the company in a long time. After finishing his work, just as the meeting was about to end, Suyuk looked around. Suddenly, he asked, "Does anyone know where I can get some hot and sour noodles?" All the executives froze. Ahem. President Su is asking you a question, and reminded everyone. President Su, I know one. It's on Waisi Road, behind the Jiaha Commercial Building. There's a place called Indian Hot and Sour Noodles, and it's very crowded. They have really good biscuits and have been there for many years. I used to go there when I was in college, and it was really good. The person who spoke was a supervisor from the administrative department. Su nodded. Okay, thank you. That's all for today. Dismissed. When Su turned around and left, all the executives were talking about him. President Su seems to be a little weird lately. Yeah, even a super rich guy would eat at a roadside stall. Is he in a relationship? Is he buying it for his girlfriend? All girls like to eat this kind of stuff. After Su got off work, he drove to Waisi Road. Tang Chuan called him and put on his Bluetooth headset. Lord Su, let's go out tonight. My bro opened a new place and it's really lively. I heard there are beauties from 6 countries. Want to drink tonight? No. Su decisively refused. Why not? Tang Chuan was surprised. I don't have time. Fuck. You rejected me so quickly, I really want to slap you to death. It's one thing for Wei Liao to reject me, but he has a wife and kids, why are you pretending? Tang Chuan began to complain. Before Su could answer, he suddenly thought of something and smiled evilly. Oh. I know, you're going home regularly because Huamin is home, right? What does it have to do with Huamin? Am I wrong to go home? I miss my old man. I miss my mother. Bullshit. Do you think I don't know you? In the past, you didn't even go home once a month. Now, you come home every day. No matter how hard it is, it doesn't affect your restless heart. Go, go, go. Don't talk nonsense with me, I'm driving. Okay, then I'll leave you to it. Ha. Tang Chuan stopped teasing Su. Su bought a scallion pancake and a bowl of hot and sour noodles from the Indian hot and sour noodle stall. Then, he sped home immediately, afraid that the hot and sour noodles would turn cold. When he returned, Huamin was upstairs organizing the items needed for the newborn. They were all gifts from everyone, and there were a lot of them. Mrs. Su also bought a lot, and Huamin organized them one by one. Su knocked on the door. Dr. Hua, I bought you dinner, Su said jokingly. You're back. Huamin smiled. Hot and sour noodles. Do you want some? How did you know I wanted some? Hua-min looked a little surprised. Don't worry about that. Here, eat, it's still warm. Suyu carried the food over and placed it on the coffee table. Hua-min walked over, sat down, opened the bag and smelled the delicious aroma. Then, he began to eat with relish. Hua-min, I found a key problem, Suyu said awkwardly. What problem? Hua-min looked up. Chapter 1685. Do you want to have a natural birth or a C-section? Ahem, why are you suddenly asking this? Hua-min was slightly surprised that someone as rough as Suyu would ask such a technical question. I just happened to hear about it. Make your choice, and I'll arrange for an obstetrician. If the fetus is in the right position, the umbilical cord isn't wrapped around the baby's neck, my health allows it, and the baby isn't too heavy, of course I want to have a natural birth. Natural birth is the natural way to reproduce, but I heard it's very difficult, are you sure? Suyu's heart ached. I'm not afraid, for the babies, it's worth it, Hua-min bit her lip and replied. Okay, I understand. I'll talk to the military hospital and find the best obstetrician to help you. Okay. Hua-min nodded. She didn't want to say too many polite words, because it would sound pretentious. Suyu had done too much for her. It wasn't something that could be repaid with just thank you. Oh, right, there's one more thing I want to talk to you about. Suyu thought of something else. What is it? GK Entertainment has stopped operating, all the artists left. Ni Yang's former manager, Ingzi, brought a lot of people to Hua Xiqian. I heard that Hua Xiqian paid her double the signing fee, so... Ni Yang is the only one left. He didn't leave, but he doesn't have any shows. You can think of a plan, so you finished explaining the company's current situation in one breath. Upon hearing this, Hua-min fell slightly silent. After a while, she looked up and said, Suyu, can you sign Ni Yang? Give me a higher price, and I'll give you the extra money. Don't mistreat him, that kid is really kind. Hua-min knew that Ni Yang didn't leave because of her, so she felt a little guilty. If he's willing, of course I'll want to sign him. Ni Yang is a superstar. Money aside, I won't treat him badly. I'll definitely give him a high salary. But the premise is that he has to be willing to come. I think it's better if you personally come. Then can you bring him to meet me tomorrow? Alright. 10 p.m., in a clubhouse owned by the Hua Corporation. After Hua Xiqian finished his meal with the client, he asked someone to send the client off. Then, he returned to the huge private room. He picked up a glass of red wine. Is there any news? Have you found him yet? No. Have you searched all the nearby islands? Have you asked all the fishermen? Are you sure you haven't saved a man before? Hua Xiqian asked coldly. I've asked, and searched all the islands. No one has saved anyone before. Boss, maybe Qin Chu is really dead. I think we're overreacting, that's impossible. Keep looking. As long as we don't find his body, I'll be worried. Hua Xiqian hadn't been sleeping well lately. He always woke up in the middle of the night. He kept dreaming about Qin Chu stabbing him with a knife. It was such an inauspicious dream. How's the other thing I asked you to do? I've already started. I'm just waiting for Song Qinghua to take the bait. Good. That old bastard. I won't give him another chance to do anything to Mian. After speaking, Hua Xiqian finished his glass of red wine and slowly stood up. Has there been any news from Suyu lately? Hua Xiqian suddenly thought of Suyu, who had been quiet all this time. Suyu comes back to the Su family mansion every day after work. He's very punctual. He's pushed away almost all of his social engagements, and the vice president went to deal with business matters. Hua Xiqian knew that he went to accompany Huamin every day after work. For a moment, he felt extremely jealous. With a crack, the empty cup in his hand shattered into pieces in his palm. He used to be jealous of Qin Chu, and now he was jealous of Su Yu. Why wasn't he the one by Mion's side? At the Su family mansion, when Huamin came out of the shower, he received a WeChat message from Zhu Lingling. Girl. I discussed it with the stinky cop. We think the 16th of next month is a good date, so we're getting married. Huamin was overjoyed. Chapter 1686. Wow, that's fast. Huamin's voice was filled with happiness. Emichim, I met their parents a long time ago. Both of their families are really pushing me. Plus, didn't you add fuel to the fire last time? That big diamond ring, I love you to death. That's not a problem, as long as you like it. Huamin smiled faintly. But what I'm worried about is... How are you going to appear in a public place with so many people? Can you appear? Zhu Lingling asked worriedly. I'll discuss this with Su Yu and come up with a solution. Don't worry. Okay. Anyways, I really hope that you can witness my happiness. It's too bad that you and Xiao Wei are both married. Otherwise, would you be my bridesmaid? Oh, you're so annoying. It doesn't matter if I'm your bridesmaid or not. The most important thing is that you're happy. Mion, I didn't even dare to think that after all these years, would still be together with Gao Ran. When we were in school, we both had feelings for each other, but, after you and Qin Chu broke up, we both realized that love is so unreliable. Sometimes, it's not even as reliable as friendship. So, in the end, we kept all our words and feelings to ourselves. I thought I'd just live my life a little more like a normal person. I don't have the IQ and EQ of you and Xiao Wei. I'm always impulsive and don't think about the future. That's why I was so careless in making friends and almost got you into trouble. Good thing I didn't completely lose myself. Good thing I met Gao Ran in time. I, Zhu Lingling, don't have any big ambitions in this life. I don't want to be rich, I just want to live a peaceful life. Having a man who loves me, an obedient child, and a few bosom friends. I'm satisfied with this life. Lingling. I just realized today that you're pretty good at writing. Huamin smiled. Fuck. Aren't I touched? I'm sorry. Saying these things in front of you is like showing off in front of an expert. Zhu Lingling was a little embarrassed. No, you're right. In fact, not many people in this world can still be with their young lovers. The chances are slim. The good thing is that our hearts haven't changed, and we still believe in the beauty of our youth. Gao Ran is a good person, and he's a reliable person. He treats you well, so cherish him and be gentle in the future, that's for sure. I was worried at first because Gao Ran's father. You know, he's such a high-ranking official. My family is just a commoner, so I thought it might not be a good match. But now I don't have to worry anymore. His parents are really nice to me. They've never looked down on me because of my family background. Of course not. If you don't try it for yourself, you'll never be able to prove it with your guesses. The world needs people with courage. Only people with courage can obtain the ultimate happiness. Huamin slowly told Zhu Lingling about her views on love. Zhu Lingling was very obedient to Huamin, so she kept nodding. I'm really flattered. Gao Ran's family didn't say anything about our wedding. They just gave us a couple 100,000 yuan as a wedding gift. They even prepared a duplex apartment for us on Second Ring Road. His mother even said that she'd get me a new car. But I don't think it's too high profile. Gao Ran's just the captain of the criminal police force, so driving a Jaguar is already very expensive. We're already very satisfied. What about you? Are you still working as a flight attendant? Chapter 1687. Of course, we're all individuals, we don't have to depend on others to survive. I can't be a pampered rich lady, that's not my personality. I really like being a flight attendant, and in a few years, I might even become a flight attendant. I don't want to be a burden to Gao Ran, I want to be outstanding and be qualified to stand beside him. Just like how you work hard to be outstanding and stand beside Mr. Qin. Huamin fell silent at the mention of Qin Chu. Mian, are you still thinking about Qin Chu? Emichim, then, have you thought about what you'll do if he really dies? Are you going to wait forever? Zhu Lingling didn't dare to ask before because she was afraid that Huamin would get hurt. But now, it seemed like Huamin had already predicted this outcome, that was why she dared to ask nervously, Lingling, actually. I've already thought about it. If Qin Chu really doesn't come back, then I'll raise our child well and fulfill my responsibility as a mother. Then, when the time is right, I'll go to the other world to find him. What about Su Yu? He's been so good to you, are you really not going to give him a chance? Zhu Lingling was Qin Chu's die-hard fan, but after so many things happened, she also admired Su Yu. He pulled Huamin back from the brink of death time and time again. Everyone saw his sincerity. Upon hearing Su Yu's name, Huamin fell silent again. I might never be able to repay Su Yu's kindness in this lifetime. Huamin only said one sentence. Zhu Lingling immediately understood what he meant. Emichim, no matter what, I'll support your decision. As your good friend, I'll support you unconditionally for the rest of my life. I'll always agree with your decisions and respect them. All right, stop being so sentimental. Let's get down to business. On the 16th of next month, which hotel? Gao Ran's family said that they want to keep a low profile. They booked the Huaxia International Convention Center Hotel. What time does it start? The ceremony starts at 9 in the morning, but I hope you'll be there early. All right, I got it. Then I'm going to be busy these days. Geez, you can't go out. Otherwise, you can help me. Xiao Wei is pregnant. You two are so troublesome. Huamin smiled but didn't say anything. After hanging up the call with Zhu Lingling, Huamin tidied up and went to bed. The next morning after breakfast, Mrs. Su took the nanny to buy ingredients. She didn't know where she heard that it was good for pregnant women to eat more fish. Mrs. Su began to think of ways to buy wild fish for Huamin. Lord Su had gone to the capital for a meeting. Huamin was the only one left in the huge Su family. All that was left were the nanny and the bodyguards. When Su Yu came in with Ni Yang, Huamin was patiently arranging flowers. Huamin, sis. Ni Yang saw Huamin and felt touched. Hey, you're here. Come and sit. You two talk first. I'm going upstairs to get something. Su Yu found an excuse and left, giving them enough space. What's in your hand? Huamin saw that Su Yu was carrying a bamboo basket. Oh, my mom asked me to get you some free-range eggs. She raised a free-range chicken and said it's very nutritious. Thank your mom for me. Huamin smiled. Ni Yang was wearing a handsome beige casual outfit and sat next to Huamin. How are you getting along with Jie? Lately. Huamin looked at Ni Yang and asked. Chapter 1688. Pretty good. My mom hasn't been feeling well these days, so Jia comes to my house every day after work at Southside to cook for us. Shui really likes her, that's good. Hua-min smiled and continued to arrange flowers with her head down. Sis, you asked President Su to see me because you have something to tell me, right? Ni-young knew that Hua-min was in a special situation and couldn't see her easily. Otherwise, she would be in trouble. Yeah, GK has been taken over. GK Entertainment doesn't even exist. It's seriously hindering your career. I'm not afraid, it's good to take this opportunity to leave the entertainment industry, dummy, you're still young and have so many fans who love you, and you love singing so much, why would you leave the entertainment industry? I heard about Ingzi, she brought people to Hua Xichin. Upon hearing this, Ni-yang's face darkened. I'm never going to talk to her again. I didn't think she'd be such a greedy person. In this world, there are some people who only care about benefits and benefits. Everyone has their own choices. What she chooses is her own business, and I won't blame her. But you. I can't mistreat you. You signed with GK because of me. Now, I'm going to arrange a better place for you, sis. I don't want to, listen to me. Ni-young, you can't be willful. You're the pillar of your family, you're a man and have to support your family, your wife, and your children, you have your own career, it's not time for you to quit yet. I don't need to say much to President Su, he'll treat you better than GK, plus, President Su has a lot of resources. Ingzi and the others won't work together to shut you out, sis, if you still think of me as your older sister, then listen to me. Hua-min's words were a gamble on Ni-yang's mouth, he knew that she was doing this for his own good, then I'll listen to you, sis. In the end, Ni-yang was willing to listen to Hua-min's arrangements, his heart was filled with warmth and gratitude. Ever since he treated this woman as his sister, they were destined to spend the rest of their lives together. Sis, how many months until the baby is born? Ni-yang looked curiously at Hua-min's stomach, there's still a long way to go. It's only been 2 months. Does that mean there are still more than 7 months? No, there are still more than 6 months, isn't it 10 months of pregnancy? Ni-yang was stunned. That's what the older generation says. Actually, the baby stays in the womb for 9 months, oh, so that's how it is, can I know the gender now? Ni-yang was really curious. He even made a private bet with Chin Jie to guess whether Hua-min's baby was a boy or a girl. I don't know yet. Only in 4 months. Hua-min smiled slightly. Wow, that's great, I'm going to be an uncle. Ni-yang suddenly exclaimed excitedly. Of course, that's why you have to prepare gifts for the babies. I won't accept gifts or money, I'm a rich woman now. I think you're so talented, you can write a song for the babies or something. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Ni-yang and Hua-min chatted for more than an hour. When it was about time, Siyu went downstairs. He took Ni-yang out. Before they left, Hua-min suddenly thought of something. He grabbed Suyu's sleeve and whispered, Lingling's getting married on the 16th of next month. Do you have any way for me to attend the ceremony? I really want to go. Chapter 1689. Okay, I'll think about it. Don't worry, get some rest. I'll walk Ni-yang out. No matter what Hua-min asked, Siyu would agree to it, no matter how difficult it was. After they left the Su mansion, Ni-yang glanced at Su-yu and said, President Su, thank you for taking care of Sister Mian all this time. You're welcome, Hua-min and I are good friends. You don't have to thank me. Then, thank you for taking me in, President Su. Ni-yang smiled humbly. You don't have to be so humble. You're a superstar now, the price is worth it. Even if Mian didn't ask, I would have signed you. After all, I'm a businessman, and I have to make money. The conversation between two men was always so simple. After seeing Ni-yang out, so you went straight to the headquarters of Imperial Star. President Su, Miss Jian Tong won the Best Actress award today. She beat all the other girls at the whole corporation. She beat Mo Shui by 30 points, isn't she great? Jian Tong's agent chattered on to Su Yu. Really? That's good, that's good. Tomorrow, all the media will report about it. Our Jian Tong is fighting for face. President Su, we have a celebration party tonight, so, I'm not free tonight. Before the agent could finish, Su Yu immediately rejected the invitation. But Miss Jian Tong will be very disappointed. She's working so hard for the company mostly because of you. President Su, if you're not free, you can go and say hi. Otherwise, with so many reporters here, it'll seem like you don't care about Jian Tong. Seeing this, and also tried to persuade Su Yu, yes, President Su, I also suggest you go and say hi. Shut the reporters up, or else I don't know what they'll say. What time? It starts at 6 p.m. at the St. Regis Hotel. Okay, I'll be there at 6. Su Yu thought about the pros and cons and finally decided to go. Jian Tong's celebration banquet was very grand. It was not inferior to a small banquet. Su Yu said that the company would pay for all the expenses. He even gave Jian Tong a villa worth tens of millions as a reward. Jian Tong wore a peach-colored evening gown that night, revealing her voluptuous figure and young and delicate face. Many people were envious of her. After defeating Zhao Qingya, Mian, and the others, Jian Tong had become the #1 girl in Imperial Star. Su Yu only wore a pair of black Italian trousers and a white Versace shirt that night, looking extremely elegant. President Su, wow. President Su is here. President Su, you're really here. You're so handsome in person. Some of the new female artists in the company had been training for a long time, but they had never seen Su Yu in person. He was very low-key these days and rarely appeared at the company. Su Yu walked directly to the main seat and sat down. Then, he drank a glass of wine. Today is a good day. Thank you, Jian Tong, for everything you've done for the company. Here's a toast to everyone. Jian Tong stood beside Su Yu with a shy smile and raised her glass. All the other artists raised their glasses as well. After a glass of wine, Su Yu looked at Jian Tong and said, I have something to do, so I'm going to leave now. You guys enjoy. President Su. Jian Tong suddenly called out to Su Yu. Su Yu turned around. Stay, a little longer. Jian Tong was reluctant to leave. I have something to do. You guys enjoy yourselves. When you go to the nightclub later, just ask him to sign the bill. President Su. Jian Tong called out again. This time, because her voice was very loud, it attracted everyone's attention. Su Yu looked back at Jian Tong in confusion. He felt like she was a little different tonight. Jian Tong's eyes were a little complicated. She took a deep breath and shouted in front of everyone, Su Yu, I like you. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.